So hello and welcome to another episode of the Wiki Weekdays podcast. I am Lucas Holland and I'm joined as ever by the lovely Karl Smallwood.
Hello, I am also here.
And if people aren't aware, we record these intros at the end so we know what we're talking about in the episode, but I have been on the back end of a podcast where we're in a heat wave and Karl has just tried to emotionally break me.
Yeah, because we're 2 hours into recording right now, and I'm starting to feel the beginnings of heat stroke, it feels like. And just, there was a point towards the end of the video, and you can probably tell from the title of this one, folks, that this podcast went places, and it resulted in me coming up with the title, Rubber Dub Dub Time for Tarantino's Chub, which caused Lucas to completely lose his shit.
Oh, we do have fun here. But yeah, of course, if this is the first time listening to the podcast, then
if you clicked for this title, then you're definitely in the right place, folks.
You are. Karl and I both bring a wiki of our choosing to have a discussion roughly around and go off the rails on, especially today when we're just like, fuck it, it's heatwave time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a fun episode. We talked about Karl's topic, which was...
It was the Imperial Units of measurement used in the UK, which is far more interesting than it sounds.
It's a lot more interesting than it might seem.
It's better for a podcast than it is for a video, I'll admit, but I found the subject to be interesting.
I did too.
It elicits a conversation.
I was bewildered many, many times, and then I chose to talk about the Diddy Kong Racing, which led to another one of the potential titles that you might see for this, which is just Diddy Laugh.
Yeah, like Diddley Kong Racing, let's go.
Oh, God.
But before we get into that, we do have a few things to mention. Like, if you're watching this podcast, you can listen to it on both Spotify and on YouTube. It'd be helpful if you listen to it on Spotify and YouTube. So
yeah, you can also watch it on Spotify as well. Like, the video version will be up on Spotify, and you'll have to, as we discussed in Housekeeping, follow a new Wiki Weekends feed because of the way that Spotify video works and the monetization now works. We haven't been able to grandfather the old feed into it, so it's going to be on both for a few weeks.
And then we'll cross over to the other one and then leave one of them available as an archive. But you can listen to it there. You can also watch it on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, then you can see on screen right now, you can see myself and Lucas. Don't know why you want to look at this. Like, Lucas is in a sauna.
I am.
I've stepped out of a sauna. You can watch the video version. You'll see on screen is our pet of the week. And that's one of our favourite gimmicks here on Wiki Weekends and Wiki Weekdays. The sister podcast we run midweek, as the name suggests. You can tell it's been a long recording day because I'm waffling. But
we are waffling.
We invite our fans who subscribe to our Patreon at any tier to submit images to our Discord, found link below. You don't have to be on Patreon to subscribe to a Discord, but you do have to submit images. And this week we have an image of a pet without a name, but they've got no name. No name, but purpose. And it's catching that fucking ball.
It's catching the ball, but yeah, the person who posted it never left a name for that said dog, so just dog and ball.
The thing is it a dog? It's some kind of creature.
Know. Creature with ball.
Yeah. It's like, have you ever seen that thing you can do like, do you know those games you can play, like, where you always win? Like, where it's like, think of a number between 1 and 10, double it, subtract.
Oh, right, you always get the same
7.
Result, yeah.
Have you ever seen that thing of, like, I'll try it now, so Lucas, I've only got, like, a little pad and pen, but I want you to think of a 4-legged animal in your head right now.
Okay.
So, it could be any 4-legged animal, anyone you want. I'm going to look at your face now, so, is it an animal native to the UK?
No.
No, okay, so take that there. Is it one you'd commonly see? Is it a commonly seen animal, say, in, like, zoos?
No.
No, okay.
Not at least as far as I'm familiar with, anyway.
Okay, and then, would you say it's roughly the size of, like, a bag of flour, bag of sugar? Or larger?
No, larger.
Larger, okay. More detail, perfect. Okay, so what animal were you thinking of?
A coyote. And for audio listeners, Karl's drawn a vague stick figure of a
I've drawn a coyote.
Animal.
You tell the audio listeners I drew a coyote.
You drew a coyote, yeah.
And if anyone out there wants to, this is a really good party trick. So if I've done this at many a house party, and it always brings the house down. Especially if you really play up the fact that you're like, reading the person's intent and stuff like that, and you draw it and say, I want to get it exactly right. And then you turn around and they always lose their shit. I did it on a first date once and she didn't stop laughing for 5 minutes. Because it was really funny, because I was doing it in the restaurant, like proper doing it, and like people, like other people started to look in and see what we were doing. And when I turned it around, it's like, I invite people to steal that party trick.
That's a fun one.
It's a fun one.
But yeah, I think that is the end of the intro, and just, hope you enjoy the rest of the episode where we eventually lose our minds. Yeah,
so if you want to find out how a discussion about Imperial measurements and then Diddy Kong Racing ended up with the title that you see this video/podcast having, just listen/watch to the end. But either way, we appreciate that you're here, and we hopefully you'll stick around and continue to stick around for episodes upcoming.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Cheers, everybody. Over to you, Karl and Lucas from the past.
So then, Karl, what have you brought forward for a wiki this week?
Well, I thought we'd discuss something that, to us as Brits, we don't think too much about.
Okay.
But it always confuses and amuses Americans. And I feel that people need to be amused right now. So I thought we'd discuss Imperial Units.
Right. Okay. So you're talking about like units as in, feet
weights,
and stones
measures,
and stuff like that.
Yep.
Right?
Like inches, feet. And right off the bat, it's worth pointing out, in the UK, we use a fairly unique hybrid system when it comes to measurements. For example, cars, the speed is registered in miles per hour, as are our distances. It's like 30 miles to a nearby town. But all of our measurements in stores are grams and kilos.
Yeah, we weigh ourselves with pounds and stones, but we then weigh everything else in kilos.
Except for baking stuff. So flour and stuff comes in, when you're baking, sorry. So you'll buy a bag of flour and it'll be a kilo of flour, but then all the recipes call for so many ounces, or spoons, or scoops.
True.
Or cups.
We don't do cups very often, though, in English recipes. That's more
baking,
of an American thing.
I took up baking this year, so I've noticed a lot of recipes calling for cups, but there is obviously a metric conversion or one that's just in ounces. That makes it a bit easier to understand.
Yeah, it's definitely like a mixed thing again, where like I'll open up a recipe book and you'll see some recipes using like scoops and stuff and other using grams. And it's like,
I wish do you know what? Give me a sec. I can go get something to showcase this right now. Will you give me 1 second, Lucas?
Of course.
Okay, riff for a minute.
I will riff for 1 whole minute where I'll mention the fact that I'll probably also mention it in the intro, but I'm like low quality mode today. I accidentally fried my battery for my camera, so I'm not only like Discord quality, I am Discord webcam quality Lucas today, so, apologies.
Oh, you just explain why you're in a sauna.
Yeah.
Like you're recording during the start of the pandemic when just no one had proper cameras. But I went and got, so for people just listening to this as an audio podcast, I'll describe what I'm holding now. So this is the B-row. Do you pronounce that B-row? Barrow?
I guess B-row. I've never seen that before, but I guess I'd say that B-row, yeah.
It's a kind of flour. So they're a manufacturer of flour in the UK.
Right.
And when I started baking at the start of this year, go see our video on Great British Bake Off to get my justification for this, my dug out this, which belongs to my grandma.
This makes more sense because
she got it in the 60s.
I was about to say that is the most 40s looking recipe book I've ever seen. Yeah.
I think it actually dates earlier than the 60s. I couldn't find a date on it somewhere, but I know my grandma has had this since my mum was a little kid, and my mum was born in the 60s.
Yeah.
So she's presumably had it longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at this, because it's old as well, because it tells you about those newfangled metric units in there. Because this is from when? Because remember, the UK converted to metric currency around the beginning of the 60s?
Right, yeah, so we went away from farthings and shillings and what fucking grandfather coins there were.
Yes, so this little guidebook on how to make flour and baked goods includes a guide on that newfangled metric system you've been hearing about, and that is so quaint. So it says here, look, so weights, measures, and metrification. It literally has a section on it. Accurate weighing and measuring of all ingredients is essential for good results when baking. Never guess the weights and liquid measures. Soon, Britain will be changing over to the metric system of weighing and measuring. And while goods are still packed in pounds and ounces, it's good to do a little experimenting in advance. Since the British system will gradually disappear, there will be no need to convert recipes in terms of the old system.
It's so weird to me that, like, you genuinely have something that refers to the metric change. Like,
as it's coming,
just thought you were gonna bring up like I've got the BBC like good food recipe book or something. But no,
I've also got that as well. I've got a new one, and that does still refer to like cups as one of the measurements you can use, because some people prefer it because it's very quaint. But the idea that I've got it refers to the metric system. My mum remembers it. She says when she was younger, they still use shillings.
Wow.
And she remembers like her parents getting mad about the idea of not having to use shillings anymore.
Yeah, I mean, in my head, the metric system's way older than that, but like, I guess not.
Because it makes so much sense, right? Because it's just in base 10, and everything is done in base 10, whereas shillings wasn't.
Karl, you're referring to base 10, but that just means that everything goes up in increments of like tens, hundreds, thousands, etc.
Yeah. So it makes like calculations very simple. But I just find it interesting that the UK use this hybrid system, and it does confuse Americans to an extent. They often wonder, like, well, why do you, for example, weigh your weight in stones when pounds is more accurate, even though stone is 14 point something pounds?
But pounds and stones are the same system, right? And
yeah. But Americans don't use stones; they just use pounds. So, for example, I at the moment weigh, I think, I'm actually my scale is in kilos, and I weigh 95 kilos, which I think is about just under 16 stone, which is about 198 pounds, I think.
Yeah, because like when you see sports events and they're like weighing in at 300 pounds or whatever, it's like.
And I was thinking of a way to explain this to Americans who are confused, like, why would you use such an archaic system? Mm-hmm. And I think it's because Imperial units tend to be smaller, and as a result, they're easier to intuit. For example, if I told you, Lucas, can you imagine 95 kilos? Imagining 95 of something is quite difficult. Mm-hmm. Imagining 16 of something is much easier.
True, yeah. And I guess it's one of those, though, that, like, it just depends what you grow up on, because...
and what the purpose is.
Like,
or like height, right? 198 centimetres, I think is... Okay, what's 190 centimetres this big? What's 198 of them look like? If I say 6 foot. So, I know what 6 foot is, because you just got to imagine 6 of something.
Well, it's not exactly 6, like 6, 7 is 2 meters, right? Something like that.
Oh, sorry, so I think it's 180 for 6 foot.
Yeah.
My bad. But if like 180 of something, well, what does that mean? It's like, I can't imagine 180 of something. Can you imagine 6 of something? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just one of those weird things of, like, the fact that we decided to move over to the metric system, but not imperial system, but not entirely, and keep some metric.
Not entirely. We left some remnants of it. For example, like measuring distance or measuring weight or height, but only of some things. Obviously, all of our industry standard is metric.
But then, like America, because it's English,
and it's a newer country,
like,
so
English people went over, obviously, like colonized, like. They still use metric systems mostly, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works. You know what? But
let us know.
Just talk about our system now, an Imperial unit. So the Imperial system of units, also known as the Imperial system, or less commonly known as the British Imperial system. It's distinctly British and quaint, is the system of units first defined by the British Weights and Measures Act of 1824, and it continued to be developed through a series of Weights and Measures Acts and amendments. The imperial system developed from earlier English units, as did the related but differing systems used to refine them. Because a lot of these were based on stuff where, like, obviously before the ability to just know what a centimetre is. Mm-hmm. And I found this fascinating of someone has to figure that out. And I think a centimetre is based on the circumference of the Earth divided by a million or something like that.
The one that always got me
roughly
is the terminology of feet. Because no one's
It used to be based literally, I think it was the king's foot it used to be based on. But the king's foot would change.
No one's foot is actually a feet long.
Yeah, and it used to be based on the king's foot.
Right.
So they had to come up with, we need to define what a foot is.
You can't
That's
have
where
like
the metric system came in.
a system where the measurement changes depending on what king you've got in.
Exactly, especially if you're something like building or cooking or, architecture. So I think like a lot of the metric system comes from, that was interesting to me when I was learning about it in school, where they talked about, well, if stones weigh a different amount, you need to find something that is constant. And what was a constant? Well, there's very few things that are constant. Even mountains erode and change size with time.
And they grow.
So how are you supposed to like figure out these things that are so specific that they can be understood by everybody innately?
Yeah, and it's weird to me because, like, obviously when they were defining I keep getting them confused, the Imperial system, where you've got grams, there is, like, a gram out there or something, right? Like, they had to...
There's the kilo as well. There's the they keep it in a lab somewhere, and it is this perfectly polished ball of aluminum that weighs exactly 1 kilo.
And like you have to preserve those elements because like you need to have something to refer to as what is a literal like gram and a literal kilogram.
Yeah, and they have to keep it in like a hyperbaric chamber, like a burn victim, because like the slightest touch from the human hand might erode away the slightest part. That's why they use aluminum, because it's so smooth. And it's fascinating to see.
And that's a much better way of doing it than being like, we're going to literally refer to the king's foot as a distance.
Yeah, and I'm not going to pretend to understand the exact mechanics behind the metric system. We're talking Imperial Units today, and maybe someone can explain it to us, because I'm half remembering stuff from school here, so let's move on.
Exactly.
So the fun stuff, Lucas, is the names of all these things. So we're going to start with length. And do you have any examples of like Imperial Units of length? Most common would be foot. So feet in inches. But do you remember any others from school or perhaps...
Wait, I keep getting them fucking confused. It's Imperial is the old one and metric is the new one.
That's what I mean, like, it's weird, right?
It's not something I've thought about too often because, we use both. It gets me confused. But, like...
Yeah.
This is just something I've not had to think about for a long time, people.
It's so intuitive, isn't it? And that's why I find it interesting that Americans are so confused by it. It's like Britain uses both. So yeah, seamlessly for the most part. No one even thinks about it. It's like, oh yeah, of course, like you bake all your ingredients using ounces and pounds, but all of the stuff that you make with it is weighed in kilos.
But like,
and grams.
There's still books out there that will refer to grams and kilos, and others that will refer to scoops and cups, as we've said. So it's just like we live with both so commonly that I don't really think much about it. But
yeah, but any like examples of an imperial unit of length? So I said feet in inches is the most common, but there's a lot more than that.
I guess miles is another one, right, that we mentioned earlier. But like, I can't really think of other ones off the top of my head. I don't think.
We're going to start smallest to longest. So for all the ladies out there, we start with a twip. A twip is 1/17,000 of a foot, roughly.
What? Why do you need to measure things in a twip?
Well, it's for typographic measure. So if you're measuring books, I imagine. If that's like, if I'm getting typographic right.
What, 17,000th of a foot? Well,
yeah, or sometimes a twip. Isn't that quaint? It's a twip.
I do like the names. Like,
I like the name. And that's the thing about like imperial weights and measures. They're all really funnily named, which is why we're going through the list today. This wouldn't make a regular video. We can't put clips in, but this is going to be really funny to go through the names because there's probably a load here that people don't know.
Yeah, because
hopefully people get some new swear words out of it.
The monetary like side of things, where it's like, as we said, like shillings and stuff like that.
Galleons, nutsickles, yeah.
Yeah, like that sounds way more interesting and funny than just like, oh, we've got like pennies and pounds.
I do think it's funny though that we went over to the metric system and called our money pounds.
Yeah,
which is like
another
a
homonym
like, for an imperial weight. Like, also, I'm so sweaty today. I'm so sorry for. Do you know what? I'm gonna lean in. I don't care. I'm a sweaty Bo Betty today.
We are in the midst of another heat wave again.
Yeah, that's another imperial measure, right? Celsius.
Yeah, true.
Actually, I think Celsius is the metric one, right? Fahrenheit is the one that's weird to me.
Fahrenheit is definitely the one that's weird to me because Celsius must be the metric one. So it goes from zero is...
Zero at frozen
water,
100 degrees for boiling water.
Yeah. Whereas, Fahrenheit, it's like
Who gives a fuck?
negative 20-something is freezing point, and then boiling
But
point
they both
is
have
like,
the same like, absolute zero. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
'Cause I get like Fahrenheit starts at absolute zero, but that's not a commonly encountered temperature.
No.
And again, it's a lot easier to intuit if you know 0 is freezing and 100 is boiling, you can intuit based on that of like, okay, like today, for example, in the UK, I'm sat in like 32 to 37 degrees Celsius, which I know is like halfway to boiling.
Yeah, but that's something around like 100 degrees-ish Fahrenheit at the 37 or something. I'll double check.
I know Americans are like, that's not that hot. You have to factor in we live in brick houses which store heat rather than wick heat away. We also have a very like high, like what's the word now? Humidity. A lot of humidity in the UK at the moment, which makes like sweat cling to your body. So again, you can't wick the sweat away from your body. Also, just don't be a dick about it, man. We're suffering.
Yeah. So 37 degrees, which is roughly the highest point it's going to reach today, is like
38 in London.
98.7 degrees Fahrenheit. And bear in mind, my window can open this much. Less than an inch my window can open because they're like windproof windows.
Well, a twip, it can open a twip.
It can open one whole twip.
You can open one twip. But we move on, Lucas. Another unit of measurement is a thou, which is 1.44 twips.
1.4? Who the fuck came up?
Well, you can probably guess what that is with the name thou. It's 1,000th of an inch.
So that's what you
Roughly.
should. That should be a twip. You should start there.
And then we have a barleycorn, which is 1/3 of an inch.
Is that? No. Is that like the width of a corn or something like that?
It used to be, yeah. It's literally named for the length of the barleycorn. So back in the day, when they were trying to figure out, okay, how do we get a consistent unit of measurement, they thought, let's find something that has relatively uniform size. And someone figured out that a barleycorn almost always comes out the exact same size. Like of all the produce you can make, a barleycorn, because they got thousands and thousands of barleycorns and observed them and went, okay, these are all, with minor variation, about the same size.
Right.
So let's just say 3 barleycorns in a row, that's an inch. And then anyone who wants to know what an inch is, they can get 3 barleycorns, which aren't hard to obtain, and we can reasonably expect to be about the same size as the ones I use to make this measurement. They can also measure out an inch.
Like,
but you can probably already imagine some issues with that, right? If you try to measure things exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, surely 1 inch will probably be about the same between measurements, but if you've got 1,000 of them, one like minor, like differential times by 1,000 can be quite severe. Yeah. That's why measurements have to be exact.
Like obviously,
when you scale them up, that's when like disaster can happen.
I'm not acting as if tape measures are a new thing, but like obviously you get like tape measures in like just the fabric tape measures and stuff, right? Imagine instead of that, you have to carry around like hundreds or thousands of barleycorns and just lay them out.
This is why a system of units that was universal needed to be developed, and it wasn't developed until 100 years after this. But I do think that's quite elegant, a solution of, and it shows like a great degree of critical reasoning that people don't often ascribe to people of the past. Let's find something of relatively uniform size. Everybody, even like just the lowliest workman, can get his hand on 3 barleycorns.
Yeah, that's another thing, right? It's an accessible unit of measurement, I suppose. It's like it's not that hard to get barleycorn.
Yeah, but they have an inch, Lucas. So, or as it's it's known to the people of the past, 3 barleycorns. And that's the thing as well. Like, how many barleycorns are you tall? Imagine measuring your dick in barleycorns. Like you're rizzing up a girl, and you get to the point where you start sending those saucy pictures. Like, how many barleycorns is that one?
Right. So let's say
we should start using barleycorns to measure stuff because it makes it sound bigger.
So height-wise, I would be.
Hey, Joe, I want to see how many. I'm not going to measure my this is how many barleycorns tall we are. So.
Yeah. So I'm 5'7". I'm 170 centimeters tall, which comes out to 66.9291. So let's say 67 inches.
Okay.
So that means
I'm not going to say how many inches tall I am. I'm going to say how many barleycorns tall I am, and people can figure it out from that. They can use a bit of math to figure this out. They can use a bit of critical reasoning of their own. So I am 225 barleycorns tall.
Okay. So I'd roughly be 201 barleycorns tall.
Look at that. Bro, I ain't got many barleycorns.
I've hit the 200 barleycorn mark. Okay?
There we go. So we should start that on Tinder, right? How many barleycorns tall are you? Because then that way, you're not only being interesting, you're also teaching someone something. But we move on, Lucas, from inch to hand. And this is still used to this day to measure the height of horses.
I also want to say, could I put on like a dating profile, I'm over 200 barleycorns tall?
If you wanted to, yeah.
Because I technically am.
Like I said, that's a great opening line. So if that's what a barleycorn is, just say, well, a barleycorn is 1/3 of an inch.
You're also over 200 barleycorns tall.
I am.
So that's the way you get around it, right? It's like, don't refer to yourself as 6 foot because they can call you out on that. Say you're over 200 barleycorns tall.
There you go. Lads, there's some advice for you. But yeah, hands. Because I've always wondered this. I've never known like how big a hand is. You understand a horse is like 15 hands tall. It used to literally be measured by the hand of like the jockey. And they'd measure it that way.
Whose hand is the same size?
Exactly. So at some point in the past, they figured out, okay, they just averaged out a bunch of people's hands and said, okay, a hand is this. So if anyone curious, a hand is 4 inches. If anyone wonders, it's that across. So it's not like lengthwise, it's across. So imagine like stacking your hands like this. For audio listeners, I'm stacking my hands sideways. So they just came to, okay, the average hand is 4 inches wide. That's what a hand is.
He's going horizontal with it.
Hey, then again, though, imagine saying like how many hands tall you are.
Thing is, though, like, I'd be outperformed by every horse.
So you get like Shetland ponies and stuff, don't you? But I like that we still use these measurements to this day. Obviously, it's used in a very specific niche, but the idea that to this day we still use that as a measurement. I like as well because we still use foot. The next one on the list is foot, and people still use that.
I know, which is why it's the one that I pointed out earlier of like, this seems fucking dumb because like nobody's foot is the same size. I don't think my feet are the same size as each other.
No, but it was used to be based on the length of the king's foot until they just at some point in history figured out that it was 12 inches or 3 hands. But I kind of like it. It's cute, isn't it? We go hand, then foot.
Do you ever wonder
feet tend to be bigger than their hands.
Why people take the piss out of British people? And then it's like...
Oh yeah, like I'm fully aware that this is going to cause, like I said, it's confusing and amusing in equal measure. I'm keenly aware, people, like one of my favourite memes is like what British people call things. It's like imagine like calling it a what is it now? Oh no, it's like a hoity pointy. No, I'm gonna look them up. It's one that always cracks me up.
Okay, right. There are some like English words that no one really uses, but like, you know, things like bamboozled and stuff like that, like very rarely actually get used in genuine conversation, but
no,
just fun little words that exist in the English language.
Oh, that's it. It's a rooty tooty point and shooty instead of calling it a gun. Like the English meme names, right? Of like they just call it something like impossibly proper and prim.
I think one of my favourites. It's more of like a jokey saying than it is like, you know, something like that. But it's shooting the pink pistol at the porcelain firing range, which is something I learned from Space.
For a piss.
Yeah, Space is great.
I like British euphemisms for things because like we're a very euphemistic people. And one of my favourite ones, it reminds me of being a kid. My dad had always said this, like, you don't say go to bed, it's go up the wooden hills to Bedfordshire. Go up the stairs to bed. So I always found that a really quaint way of saying go to sleep. I
find it is obviously very different, but it's almost adjacent in my mind to Cockney rhyming slang, those kind of things.
Cockney rhyming slang, yeah. Like apples and pears for stairs, barnet for your head.
Yeah, and
your hair.
It was all just originally at least the way I've been told it is that it was originally a way that Cockneys would talk in a manner that cops couldn't understand.
A euphemistic manner to avoid detection by the police and just the general public. We move on now from hand and foot to a yard. A yard. So a yard is 3 feet.
There's like a yard stick, right? Or is that like retroactive? I don't know whether the yard is based on a yardstick or the yardstick's based on a yard.
The yardstick is based on a yard. It's exactly 1 yard long. And a yard, for anyone curious about for metric, it's 0.9 metres.
Okay.
Then Lucas, we go from yard though to chain, which is 22 yards. Chain.
22 yards?
Exactly, such a specific number.
He's like, I don't know who sat down and started measuring things in like, well, we'll do 3 of this.
This is why the metric system makes more sense.
This.
Yeah. That's why the metric system makes more sense, doesn't it? 'Cause it's just 10, 10, 10, 10.
Yeah. But like...
And you can see what... And I can admit, this system is stupid, but it's quaint. And there was parts of this I wasn't aware of what a chain was. And now you've learned a new thing.
I knew
Folks
of
at home,
yards.
you've learned a new piece of information.
Didn't know of chains, but like...
Yeah.
I don't know why someone... I thought it would have been at least like, in base 3 or base 4 or something, not just random different numbers.
Lucas, it's in base vibes.
Yeah,
Much of like the weights and measures that it was measured in vibes.
It was.
And you can't define a vibe. After chain, we've got furlongs, which is 10 chains.
Okay, so we've done a base 10 thing for once.
Yep.
Or not base 10,
That's about,
but 10.
yeah, and it's about 200 metres.
And
then we have a mile, which is 8 furlongs. And then a league, which is 3 miles. So when someone says like leagues under the sea, it's like times it by 3, you got the number of miles. Times that by 1.6, and you get the number of kilometres.
Oh, that's another one that gets me, is like talking about
miles
the sea.
And kilometres.
No, not miles and kilometres. When people talk in knots. And
we also have like, Lucas, don't forget, we're a seafaring nation.
Yeah.
We've got maritime units as well. So maritime units, for measurement, we have a fathom, which is 2,000 yards, a cable, which is 2,000 fathoms, or 100 fathoms, and then a nautical mile, which is 10 cables.
So is that related to the phrase of like, I can't fathom this?
Oh yeah, it's a large amount of distance, right? It's like something incomprehensible. Because a fathom to someone of the past was a large amount of distance. Usually, like, another country could be found.
This is educational podcast today
That's
as
it,
well.
We're learning, right?
Yeah, we are
learning. Now we've got, Lucas, units of area. So we start with a perch.
A perch. Okay. How big is a perch?
So in square feet, it's about 272.25 inches. In square yards, it's about 30.25. In acres, it's 1/160th. In square meters, about 25.
Right. Okay. Which sounds more reasonable, but meters weren't a thing yet.
I do wonder how many square perches my house is. I'm curious. Then, Lucas, we've got a rood, or rood, R-O-O-D. That's 40 perches.
I'd say that would be a rood, yeah.
Which is about 10,000 square feet. So the square footage of like your average, like small office space,
right?
Or quite large office space, I imagine. And then an acre is 4 roods.
That's such a jump from a perch to a rood.
Yeah, and then a square mile is 640 acres, which is an even bigger fucking jump, right?
Right, I didn't realise that. I thought acres were larger than that. Okay.
You got to think as well, though, when you're going like with area, the increase
it's
like,
exponential. Yeah.
And then when you get to volume, it's even greater.
Yeah, because like they still obviously talk about land in acres over here a lot, and I don't know where else does. But yeah, like the fact that I'd hear someone's got like 600 acres worth of farmland, I'm like, oh, that's massive. It's like, okay,
that's,
well,
what about 1 square mile?
About a square mile. It's quite big.
I know. Yeah. You know what? It's bigger than my house. I wonder how many perches it is, though. Do you know what? It's got it here. So it'd be 40 times 4 times 640. So, that's a lot. Then we have volume, Lucas. So what's the most common unit of volume in the UK? So popular that an entire kind of beverage is defined by its measurement, not its contents.
Oh, a pint.
A pint, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where if you say I'm going for a pint, people know that you mean beer, even if you don't clarify beer, because beer is so synonymous with being coming in pints.
Yes. And for me,
and
it probably wouldn't be a beer, but, people would still get the drift.
Yeah. Do you know what I hate, though? I hate that we've got like American brewers coming to the UK and doing like 500ml and 400ml cans.
But we always do cans in 330s. Mm-hmm. But like...
Well, I mean, of beer, specifically. If they're trying to get away from... Because obviously a pint is the traditional like unit. Mm-hmm. Like you always... When beer, it comes in pints, half pints and third pints. But obviously... costs a lot of money to put a pint or something in there, so they've started like still using the metrics. It's 400ml. And have you ever been to like a fancy bar where they try and do that, where they give you like the 400ml glasses? It's like, no, fuck off, give me a pint.
For context, I've just looked it up. 1 pint is equivalent to 568.261 millilitres. So they, by giving you like 500ml instead of a pint, essentially like trying to, as you say, get away with giving you less for the same amount.
Yeah.
Because if you just see 500ml, you're probably like, oh, that must be a pint, so I'll pay a pint price.
Yep.
But
it sounds like, this sounds very specific, but I like that we have the Weights and Measures Act. The detail about the Weights and Measures Act that I like is that it traditionally was enforced by the Crown. And the punishments for breaking it or subverting it or trying to bend the rules of the Weights and Measures Act, the punishments were really, really fucking severe.
Right.
Because the idea was you're trying to rip someone off. These are enforced by the Crown. In some cases, some of the measurements were based on the measurements of the monarch. Like I said, feet.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on the king's foot. And that has resulted in the existence of something known as the baker's dozen. So people probably heard about the baker's dozen. Do you want to explain that to people, Lucas?
Yeah, I was just going to point out as well, US people, before you come at us, our pint is 20.095% larger than your pint. I don't know how this fucking works. But the baker's dozen, the idea would be that if you went into a bakery and you bought a dozen of something, they would throw in an extra 13th one for free as a thank you, as a make-up.
Yeah.
And the idea being...
It's known as now. It's it's now a thank you or tradition to like, you buy 12, you get one free.
That's what I was going to say. The idea being that you can't necessarily know that every single baked good is going to be the exact same size, so they gave you the 13th to make sure that they were giving you enough to cover a dozen.
Yeah, and that's because in the past, if you didn't give people enough and you were caught doing so, you could be severely reprimanded, like given a huge fine, sent to prison. So bakers, to be on the safe side, would always make sure they gave people extra in the form of an extra bread bun or an extra cake, just to make sure they didn't break the rules. And the idea that, I like the idea of companies being scared to literally shortchange their customers.
Yeah, like to the point where they would top you up with an extra item just to make sure that, if they got a small batch of buns, they're not giving you less than is legally required.
Yeah, and in regards to pints, in the UK, you are legally entitled to a full pint of anything you order. And if you have too much head on your beer, and if you ask the bar to top it up, because I think you're allowed to, I think 5% is expected. It varies, because some beers are served with a foamier head, but if you request your glass to be filled to the top, by law that the bartender has to, and if they don't, they can be severely reprimanded. Not as severely as they would in the past, but you can call up the appropriate government agency and they'll come in and do a test. And if they find that particular establishment is consistently shorting people on what they order, a pint, half a pint, they will hit them with a fine.
It's a really interesting cultural difference between different places that I've visited. When I'll go to France or Spain or Germany or Japan, they all have different ways of serving the beer with different amounts of head. Japan love a heady pint, whereas when you go to Spain, they normally don't give much of a head at all. And
and then in America, they serve pints like the council made it and expect a tip. I remember once when I was in America, I was with my ex who was American, and I got a real shit pint. Do you know the kind of pint that you look at and go, this is the bartender's first day? And I was I went to the guy, do you mind topping that up, mate? And he looked at me like I'd walked in on Christmas morning and pissed on his kids. He gave me such a dirty look for that.
Yeah, it's not really a thing, I guess, that they do over there, but that's a totally normal behaviour in the UK. If you get served what you deem is a shit pint, you can just ask the bartender, top it up, please. Yeah.
And I thought with America being a service-based, they have a heavy focus on service. I didn't think that would be a issue, but apparently it was. But anyway, the units of volume is only a couple. We have a fluid ounce, a gill. I like a gill. Gill's kind of fun. And a gill is 1/4 of a pint.
Where does that come from, though?
What's
a gill?
It's a teacup.
Why are we calling it a gill then? I don't know that refers to a teacup.
Because not everyone's teacup's the same size, so they come up with a unit of a gill.
But why measure something on a teacup then?
Do you know what? I kind of like the idea of going into a bar saying, "Can I get 4 gills of John Smith's, please?" And getting 4 little mini pints. That was fun.
Winds me up so much.
Which is 20 ounces. A quart, which is 40 ounces, so 2 pints, and then a gallon, which is 160 ounces, which would be 8 pints.
I can't get over the fact that we spent so long measuring things in sizes that are inconsistent.
No, we've got other ones, Lucas, because in addition to that, we also have a peck, which is 2 gallons, a bushel, which is 8 gallons, and a quarter, which is 64.
A quarter is 60...
Can you see why we standardise this?
Yeah.
Then we have mass and weight, Lucas. So, most common one, pound, ounces, stones. But we start small, Lucas, with a grain, which is 1/7,000th of a pound.
Which I presume is a wheat grain, right?
A wheat grain. Then we have a drachm, which is 1/256th of a pound. An ounce, 1/16th of a pound. A pound, which is a pound. A stone, 14 pounds. A quarter, 28 pounds. Or 100 weight, which is 112 pounds.
What?
And then a ton, which is 2,240 pounds.
Of course it is. Yeah, why not? Yeah. And the fact as well, stones. What stone are we basing this off? Stones coming all
They
different
literally
sizes.
used to use big stones, and they used to sell them. Traders used to carry the stones with them, and that's some traders, the illicit ones, would use smaller stones or less. What's the word now? Dense rock. So they get a stone that's the same size or the expected size, which would be measured in barleycorns, I presume. But their stone would be made of maybe like limestone, something a bit less dense.
Yeah, because
Maybe
stones
sandstone?
are different to other stones.
Exactly, and that's why they had to come up with a specific definition. But yeah, they literally used to use just big, heavy fucking stones, and that looks about right.
Or slightly less big, slightly less heavy stones. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favourite units of measurement that's not listed here because it was only used in one particular part of the UK is a perth, and a perth is the length of the left foot of the first 13 men to leave church on a Sunday. And it's why the fuck are we measuring stuff in that?
Who the fuck figured this system out?
Exactly. I want to look up Imperial Units unused and see if there's any really obscure ones. Here we go. It's maybe there's some Imperial Units that are obscure or even more obscure than this.
I know that we've kept some of the these stupid British Imperial Units to this day, and we still use them in everyday life. But just having to deal with the whole entire thing would stress me out.
Yeah. And I have found an article here by metricviews.uk. So I imagine this is just a website dedicated to the standardization of the metric system, the adoption of it. Mm-hmm. It's just a list of some obscure, lesser known, no longer used Imperial units. So we have a Corf used in Sheffield for coal mining and trading. 3 Corfs. A Corf is 300th weight, which we now know to be 112 pounds. A cubit, which is 18 inches.
I think people who are listening to this need to be watching the video version just to see
how confused
the dire expression on my face sometimes when some of these units are read out.
How about a firkin, which is £56? But that was only used for butter, so you had to get a firkin of butter. If you want a firkin of soap, that's £64.
Of course it is. Sure. So what I don't get is why is a British pint different than an American pint? It's meant to be a measurement of a unit of measurement. It shouldn't be different than the same unit of measurement.
A military step, 2.5 feet, which is the length of a military man's stride.
Even though they don't have the same length of leg.
Yeah.
Great.
A rope that is used in Preston. And the thing, some of these were specific to a town or a region. Mm-hmm. It was about 20 foot.
How long is a piece of string, Karl? Oh, it's a rope.
It's twice the length of its middle to its end. A strike. Wheat was sold by the strike, and a strike would be 2 pecks. Isn't this so fun? A tub. A tub was 100 weight. Another term for a tub was a bag.
And why are we using a weight called weight?
Shut up. Do you know my favourite one? Well, we can end on this. And I was out for a drink a couple of months ago now. And it's this little local hole-in-the-wall pub where they have a bottle bar and then 3 beers on tap.
Mm-hmm.
And their whole deal is they started during the pandemic of like, okay, you can do takeaway beers. And they still offer that service to this day. And they sell what's known as a growler, which is 2 and a bit pints.
I do like the unit
and it's served
of a
in
growler.
and it's served in like a milk jug.
It's like when people serve beer by the boot, right?
Beer by the boot, yeah.
And like obviously they don't nowadays use actual boots. But the implication is that they used to just fill up your boot with beer.
Yeah, beer by the boot. There's an old story about it. It's this guy, he's called Angus MacAskill, and he's regarded as probably the tallest true giant on record. I think he's about like 7'3", and a true giant is a man or a human, but they tend to be men because men tend to be taller. But that is a human who is unnaturally tall, just on their own, via no quirk of genetics. They don't have a pituitary problem like Andre the Giant. They're just naturally very tall. And he's regarded as the tallest true giant, where his height was not a result of something like that. He was just genuinely that massive. And he was so fucking big that he had to like build his own house. He was like so heavy and so strong and so stout, and that when he walked, the heel of his boot would cut through carpet.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and he's one of his most famous like tests of strength was, or just showcase of strength, where he lifted like a 3,000-pound anchor to help someone get their boat ashore. And when he went on tour with like a circus, and then he retired, bought his own giant house, and settled down. He ran a local store, and he would always offer people like, "Do you want a pound or a hand?" And locals soon realised that if you wanted to, if you liked Angus, ask him for a hand, and he'd give you a handful of whatever it was, because his hands were so big. A handful of any of the things that he sold would always be more than a pound. And he was keenly aware that some people came to his store just specifically to see how big he was. Yeah. If they tried to dick him over or make fun of him, he'd give them exactly what they asked for and still charge them the price for the hand.
Right. Yeah, fair.
But you know what that is? Just vibing. It's
like,
how much do you want?
It's like,
vibe on it.
Is that a Fat Fiend article? Because, like, that's interesting.
It's the man who measured his tea in vibes.
Because, like, I don't think we've ever discussed that before. We've discussed Angus
MacAskill. There's not that specific fact about him. I could write that. Like, if folks only want to see a Fact Fiend article and then subsequent video with me and Lucas talking about the man who measured his ingredients with vibes.
Yeah.
The original vibe coder. Let's go. But yeah, that's just an incomplete list of the various Imperial units of measurement used throughout the UK, and hopefully some of those are of interest to people and we can bring them back.
I don't think I've been so actively frustrated by one of these articles since, like, you brought up, like, the big chef, little chef shit.
Yeah. I just like, some of them are quaint, some of them they sort of make like a cup. It's okay, a cup of something, most cups are the same size. They're not exact size, but it's bacon, who gives a shit. But it's like a bushel.
No.
Yeah, I know people do give a shit, but obviously it's a lot less low stakes than building like a house.
I beg to differ. I don't actually, but I will say the one thing that I always talk about, I'm a good cook, not so good a baker, but I think cooking is vibes based. Cooking, you can go off script, you can improvise, you can figure things out on the fly. Baking is a science.
Yeah,
you don't fuck around with measurements when baking, because like, recipes are written out like a fucking art when it comes to baking. And cooking, like a science experiment, right? And you have to bake there's a lot of specifics in baking. I know that you said that. It's cooking is art, baking is science. 100%.
But either way, yeah, like, hopefully a couple of those make it into the lexicon of our listeners/watchers. Because you know what? I'm going to start measuring things in barleycorns.
I'm gonna start telling people I'm over 200 barleycorns tall.
Yeah, Joe, that's a great opening line. Because then they'll ask, "What's a barleycorn?"
Well, did you?
Then you can tell them. Then you can tell them a fun fact. Because I think that's a quite fun fact. It's not the most useful fact, but it's fun.
And I do appreciate as well that we're going through all this British bullshit while you've got a fucking Piniston book behind you in the background.
Oh yeah, people have noticed that. It's been like in the background for a couple of videos now. Like, why does it say like Penis Town behind you? That is the name of a town near Sheffield that I went to for a wedding, at Penistone. And when I was there, a friend noticed that I was there. I went, "Oh, did you not get yourself a souvenir?" I went, "No, I didn't have time because I was at a wedding." I went, "Don't worry, next time I see you, I'll bring you a Penistone souvenir." So they brought me a Penis Town souvenir.
And obviously...
It even says on it, they're aware that the name sounds rude because it says, pronounced Penistone, an unfortunate name for a town, really, especially when hyphenated, but it's a bloody lovely place to live.
I genuinely thought, with the way that was angled against the thing, it was a book.
No, they just got me
this.
this.
Just a little sign, right?
It looks like it's an entire book on Penistone.
Because
I just think it's...
Just because the way you've framed it with that little frame, it's like... Yeah, it makes it look like it's got depth and it's a book, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it's kind of funny for people as well. Like, why should you have a book called Penis Town?
Yeah. And obviously they know what they're doing, like they're splitting up the word on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I grew up in a town called Scunthorpe, which has like CUNT right in the middle of it. And all the Scunthorpe merch you can get just has like CUNT in massive red letters right in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's literally like, you couldn't, it's the Scunthorpe problem, right? Like, you can't...
It's known as that, on Wikipedia. There's a Wikipedia article on it.
Literally can't name your Pokemon Scunthorpe.
No, I'm going to add that to my list now. I'm going to add that to a list to potentially talk about at some point. Mm-hmm. So we can discuss it in more detail, because, we've finished with mine. But that is an interesting discussion, and it does have a Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
I've got one example that I need to mention, though, because obviously there's a couple of funny examples of... So the Scunthorpe problem broadly is just... Scunthorpe is a town in the UK, but it has cunt in the middle of it, so it often gets flagged by Google searchers. Mm-hmm. And there's been many examples of like search engines thinking something is rude when it's not. Like I think the most famous one is Therapist Finder.
Yeah.
Which therapist? That's a fairly ubiquitous, non-offensive word, right? But when we'll just see it written as the Rapist Finder.
Just therapist.com.
Which all I can think of is that absolutely amazing Always Sunny bit where it's like, well, what do you do for a living? I'm a full-on rapist.
A full-on rapist.
Philanthropist.
And it's like, Charlie's just getting the word confused for philanthropist because he's an idiot.
Is that the hardest anyone has ever fumbled? Because the worst bit about that scene is the girl doesn't leave right away, and she's really cute.
Yeah, and
but he just keeps fucking it up.
He's like
she doesn't leave initially.
Hornet
he has
stings
a chance.
all over his face. And he's sweating through his outfit completely.
Like me right now.
The first thing he says, the full-on rapist.
All I think is, though, when I'm like, that lady never came back, but a girl that hot, there's got to be some crazy shit going on. So why is a girl like that struggling to get a date?
To have to sink to the depths of a Charlie Kelly, yeah.
Yeah. But either way, yeah, that's Imperial Units of Measurement and a preview of a potential future episode about the Scunthorpe problem.
Hell, goddamn, yeah. But,
do you remember Sue's album party? That was a good one, right? So that was Susan Boyle, where Susan Boyle released a new album, and her record label said, "Oh, celebrate with the hashtag Susan's album party," which looked like it read Sue's anal bum party. Remember that one? It's just trending on Twitter. Obviously, your mind, I think it's like, is it pareidolia? Where you see faces in the sky or in random patterns. Mm-hmm. It's human nature to spot the offensive word in the middle of non-offensive ones. So it just, even though it's Susan's album party, your mind immediately reads it as Sue's anal bum party.
I remember that happened with a Pokemon game, right? Of Pokemon Masters EX, and it was Pokemon Master Sex. And everyone just started tweeting out hashtag Pokemon Master Sex.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're going to take a break, or do you want to just cut straight to your wiki?
I'm gonna
after you do some housekeeping.
Take a quick break, yeah, and we'll get into housekeeping.
I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna keep melting.
You're gonna keep melting, right? Yeah.
I want to sit here, yeah, like Charlie Kelly. Alrighty, so hopefully, Lucas, you are somewhat refreshed. And before we get on to our housekeeping for the week, I did look up some other naughty hashtags / website names. I've got this one. It's Big Bus Tycoons.
Big Bus.
Pen Island. I think Pen Island is the famous one.
That's the famous one, at least to us in our,
And I think it's definitely on purpose because Pen Island is still going, and they specialise in wooden pencils.
Because the joke would always be like, oh,
Penis Land.
As a kid in high school, you'd always tell your friends go visit Pen Island. Penis Land. Yeah. I just came back and saw Karl giggling to himself.
Just giggling to myself, yeah. And then another one, whorepresents.com. Hall represents. Or Hall presents.
Right, yeah. That's the thing is, like, when you say it out loud to me, it's so much harder, but when you see it in writing, it's a lot easier to, like, obviously
that's
visualize.
presumably just in meetings, like, that's what the company's called, put it on paper, and they didn't realise so they wrote it down.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's a fun example there. But yeah, we got any housekeeping to show off this week? Safer. I think the first thing we should mention, actually, is the fact that if you're listening to this on Spotify, first of all, well done for finding us on Spotify. Go click on all the links you can find below while you're on Spotify, because we've also got Wiki Weekends videos going live on Spotify now.
Well, that's one thing that we haven't had a meeting about, but we're probably going to have to change the way that, like, the feed that you follow on Spotify is, because basically, to get a little bit behind the weeds during housekeeping...
So I don't know this yet. We were going to have a meeting about this after.
We haven't actually talked about it properly, but I'm going off your suggestion, basically, of, like... The way that we're going to have to do it is we're pivoting to having monetized videos on Spotify, as well as just being able to listen to them as audio. It works both ways. Yep. But if you're listening to this on the Wiki Weekdays podcast feed, I would go and follow the Wiki Weekends feed, because unfortunately, the way that Spotify works is because it's an old feed that use like an RSS. We can't monetize that feed, the Wiki Weekdays podcast feed that you might be following right now.
We can't convert it over, can we? So it's annoying because we've built like 1,000 or so followers on here, which would be very handy to getting the channel monetized.
It would be, yeah.
On this platform, but we can't do that.
We can't do that on Spotify. That's not the way it works. So we've had to set up a new feed for the Wiki Weekends videos. So we're going to start putting the podcasts over on there instead. So we'll probably put the next couple of podcasts on the podcast feed as well, so we can get people's attention and get you over.
And mention it. Maybe we'll mention it in the beginning as well, which you've probably already heard what we call the beginning. We record the intro at the end. So we apologise for repeating this issue, but we'd like it if everyone listens to this on Spotify to just go over to
the Wiki Weekends feed, not the Wiki Weekdays podcast feed. Find Wiki Weekends and follow that on Spotify instead.
Yeah, and it'll be linked below.
Yeah, of course.
Same is true if you're listening to this on YouTube or watching it on YouTube. Because, hey, fun fact, it's better on Spotify, because on Spotify, you can close the tab. You can watch the video, but you can also listen to it as a podcast. It works as both.
Mm-hmm. And also, YouTube's getting even more bullish with copyright strikes and stuff. And
that's
Spotify is, offering people that are monetized, like, more money per view than YouTube is and stuff. So by supporting us over on Wiki Weekends, even just following the feed, it'll let Spotify know that people are interested.
Yeah, and obviously we're not going to stop uploading to YouTube. Of course, it'd be silly to do that, because YouTube's just this ubiquitous monolith at this point. But it's somewhat of an arse ache on our end, but it's an arse ache we're willing to. Well, you're doing it, and I'm taking over some editing duties for you. But
yeah, exactly.
It is a collective amount of effort we're willing to put in to hopefully build a secondary audience on here, which will hopefully help us just in the long run.
Yeah, we won't abandon YouTube as a platform, but when someone is aggressively trying to push to make their platform the new big thing, the smart thing is to probably follow a big brand and try and get yourself over there as well.
Yeah, and just on the personal note, something I'd like to promote, because this video will be going out around... Let's have a look. We're going out around the 19th, 20th.
Around that, yeah.
Getting it right? I most likely at this point in time have a book out.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
If that is the case, you can go check out the links to that as well below. I'll be mentioning it in my upcoming videos for the next couple of weeks. But it's a book of old scripts. I'm not saying old as in bad, but scripts I wrote for the Child Today I found out. As of last year, found out that I own the copyright to all of those, because the owner of the website just signed over the copyright to all of my work to me and said you can do whatever you want with it,
including
make videos.
They were literally willing to give you scripts that they'd already used for videos and give you the ownership of them, which is unheard of realistically for most channels and most websites and stuff.
I didn't want to do that, because I thought even though I'd probably present the information in a different way, I'd still feel I'd be taking siphoning away some of your views. So instead I've taken the scripts, re-edited them. So I've gone back to my original edits for each one, which contained let's be honest, more swear words. So like, there's some stuff that was edited out, like tangents and swear words, and just the fun thing that I did, speaking of like imperial weights and measures and our quaint way of measuring things, the thing that I spent the most effort doing was editing like all of the Americanisms out of the scripts.
Because you would write in Americanisms for the Today I Found Out. American
English, yes. Like specialise with a Z, straight out.
Yeah.
Colour without a U, straight back in.
That's the thing, right? That's the thing you have to do as a writer that people might not think about, is the fact that you, as an English person, aren't allowed to write in Englishisms, for lack of a better term.
Standardised English, yeah. The English I learned at school.
Yeah, because you're writing for American sites. And
I'm writing for an American audience, yeah. And they requested that I use Americanized English, which I always hated. I think the only thing I ever spelt with an S was Americanized, just because it's funny. So spelling Americanized with an S instead of a Z was always very amusing to me. It's like a meta joke. But yeah, that was oddly enough not the hardest, but the most time-consuming part of the edit was trawling through and changing every Americanized spelling to the English one.
But yeah, I just wanted to point out how generous Today I Found Out were with...
It's ridiculous, yeah. When he said that, I thought he was joking or being... Like, not joking, but like, you know, oh yeah, sure, I can like post segments of them. It's like, no, you can remake the videos if you want.
The fact that they were willing to let you use articles that they've already published is ridiculous.
And paid for.
Mm-hmm. So good on that.
But I'd rather not do that. Instead, I'd rather collate them and include some stuff that was not published. So I pitched it, wrote it, and it just never got published for whatever reason. And some stuff I was working on for Fact Fiend that never made it, or never saw the light of day because it never got finished because I didn't have time. I put some of those in as well.
So
it's called That Time When, which is one of my favourite title
that's
trends.
One thing that I picked up on, like maybe last year, is the fact that I would name a lot of our titles for Wiki Weekends videos That Time When instinctually, just because I'm used to your writing style.
Yeah, because I use that as the lead up for a lot of titles, so that's what the book's called, and hopefully if it sells well, it does okay. I think I'm setting the final details live tomorrow. Just got to check them all to make sure it goes live. And pricing wise, I've been advised to sell it for $10. Mm-hmm. I'm going to sell it for $6.69.
Of course you are.
Of course I am.
Oh dear. So go check out that in the links below, and hopefully that is already live. And if not, the link won't be there. But just keep an eye out.
You'll see it mentioned in an upcoming video and the Discord if you follow that. And if that does well, the sequel's going to be What Happens When.
Okay.
And that was like another series of scripts I wrote about just people asking questions like, what happens when, for example, you are hit by an ambulance that's already carrying someone in the back? What happens when someone gives birth over international waters? What happens when you renounce your citizenship when you've only got citizenship of one nation? And about that last one, the funniest detail for me is that in the UK, you can renounce your citizenship by mail. You can just send a letter to the government. You can just send a letter to the government. Yeah, you can just send a letter to the government saying, I don't want to be British anymore, and they'll just renounce your citizenship, and then you become an illegal alien. With no country of origin. By mail.
I know that obviously you send it to the government, not the king, but like I do like the idea of just sending King Charles a letter being like, fuck you.
Yeah, but the idea that you can do that, and obviously that book would be answering all those questions and more. There's about 100 of those that I wrote over the years.
Yeah, that, like, obviously no one would presumably do that, because then you are not legally allowed to... Are you
interested, Lucas?
I am.
Want to know?
I genuinely am interested, because, like, then you legally have no right to live in the country that you just told to fuck off, yeah.
And that's what that sequel will be exploring. It'd be answering questions like that.
So go support Karl's book so that I can read Karl's sequel book.
And then the proposed sequel to that one that I've already started collating would be Why Don't They Just? And that is pop culture related. And it's answering pop culture questions like why don't they just turn their lightsaber on and off all the time in Star Wars?
Right, yeah.
Like stuff like that.
And one question I've got to ask about this proposed sequel is, has it ever happened where an ambulance hits someone while already carrying a person?
Yes.
Yeah. I presume it must have done, just by, the probabilities of it happening, like, ambulances being around every day.
A lot of questions like that, like what happens when you dig a really big hole in your back garden? Like, at what point does the land ownership kick in for yourself? Like, how far high can you build something in your back garden? Because you own that land, but how much of the air do you own?
But then you're not allowed to generally speaking, British law, at least, you're not allowed to impugn on other people's property with your buildings.
And like I say, he's answering questions like that. So hopefully people like the first book. I don't want to, get people excited for the second one. Like, well, I'll just wait for the second one. I don't want to buy the first one.
I'm excited for the second one, so go buy the first one so Karl can justify it.
Well, hopefully they're all interesting to people. They have different, premises.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not like I don't want to read your first book, but, the second one sounds intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get people excited. Draw up some hype, Karl.
Well, so there's also some stuff in that time when Muhammad Ali nearly got his leg kicked off by a professional wrestler. That time when the British rioted for 3 months over the price of theatre tickets. That time when Coca-Cola released a new soda to spite Pepsi. Oh no, it was Pepsi released a new cola to spite Coca-Cola.
Just as a guess,
so released Spite Cola.
Was that the clear Pepsi?
It was, yes.
Yeah.
But it's the details of which, that's just something I've promoted, and I've been working on it literally for years. It's like the culmination of a decade and so of work of mine.
Yeah, I don't want people to think Karl's just throwing this together. Every single one of them was an original article for Today. I found out
that was researched by myself,
fully researched and written by Karl over the years, but also Karl mentioned to me a year or two ago now about the fact that you had the rights to these. It's not like you just cobbled it together.
I also want to update all the research because some of the stuff, the information in it has changed. I've made sure the research is still correct. I've done fact checking on stuff. Obviously I was happy with it at the time, but a decade has passed. Maybe new stuff has come to light.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's over the years, more information might have just come out about the subject.
Yeah, that has allowed me to obviously added new sections based on new information, changed some parts, added jokes back in, so I tracked down my original scripts with the jokes that were edited out.
Also, just over the years, you've probably become a little bit better at writing and researching than you were 10 years ago.
That's the worst bit. I'm looking at someone man, I was really fucking funny. Well, there's someone I didn't write that line. That line's way too good. It's I must have done.
Yeah. To be fair, you were more active in practicing stand up and improv and stuff like that at the time, I guess.
But there's a couple I've been working on. There's a couple of other ideas, and I'm really excited for those. I'm not sure where it'll fit, but one of the questions that I answered from a fan for Today I found out years ago that I'm really excited. I'm really excited, but I was excited to research, and it took me ages to do. I'm really proud of the work that I did. Is do dogs with big ears hear better than ones with small ears?
I guess some do and some don't, because
I can't spoil it for you, Lucas. But
I just know that sausage dogs, for example, have floppy ears so that they get less distracted by sounds.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My favourite detail out there is dogs with big ears smell better. If you're wondering why, wait a year or so to get the book where that appears.
But anyway, Karl.
Yeah, anything for yourself to promote?
No, I think we've spent long enough in housekeeping this time.
Honestly, I've been excited about that. I've been working on that in the background for about a year or so.
I'm hoping that people listened to this and found it an interesting discussion in itself as part of housekeeping, rather than just why are they still talking about this book? But hopefully people are hyped and interested and go check out the links. But yeah, we should get on to my wiki.
So what have you brought for us to discuss, Montfrere?
Well, I have brought up a video game that is one of my most nostalgic video games of all time, I suppose, in Diddy Kong Racing.
Okay. So I was never a Diddier, or a Diddler as they're known.
You can't know.
I didn't play much Diddy Kong Racing.
Don't besmirch the name of Diddy Kong.
So when you were a kid diddler, how did you like the game?
So when I was a child playing this game, Karl,
I just had it in my mind of Joe. We talk really unfortunately named things of Diddy is such a an unfortunate name.
It is,
given modern context.
It is, and
that was another thing I had to edit out of the book as well. I had to go through and is there any references to because I think I made a reference to Elon Musk at some point. And went, well, I'm cutting that out because fuck that
him.
Guy.
Yeah,
fuck him.
I remember when Donkey Kong Bonanza was getting hyped. And people are Nintendo just afraid to reveal that Diddy Kong's in this game now because of the context.
Well, it was like, what was it, when the Mario store, after the Luigi Mangione, alleged shooting of that CEO just dropped dead when a bullet flew into his back from nowhere.
Yeah.
When like the Nintendo store in America just got rid of all their Luigi merch because everyone was buying it to wear at like impromptu protests.
So yeah, Nintendo have been on the back end of a couple of unfortunate naming, mishaps over the years, apparently.
I think the best one is that like legendary like tweet that got deleted in less than 1 second.
Right.
When their social media person
Okay.
uploaded a picture of Do you know what? I'm just going to send it to you, Lucas, and we'll let your reaction inform the audience at home.
I can't actually see this without ruining the recording.
Oh, can you not?
No.
Do we send it to you on your phone?
Send it to me on Messenger, yeah.
Okay. You go, oh, God. Not a rebuttal. You go through the intro to Diddy Kong Racing, and I will track down the image on my phone and send it to you on there.
So if people are wondering why I give so much of a shit about Diddy Kong Racing specifically, it's like, well, it's one of the many kart racers that were out in the N64 PS1 generation. This is the game that I got gifted underneath the Christmas tree with my sisters when we got the N64.
That's always such a special video game.
My first N64 video game.
Yeah, that is always such a special like video game, and it doesn't matter how bad the video game is, you always have a fondness for it because it was a gift and you feel compelled to play it. I think the one for me, I don't even know why we had it. We didn't ask for it, but just my parents must have been at the shop and said, okay, this game's like 12 quid on sale, let's just get that for their PlayStation.
Right, yeah.
It was the game Pandemonium. And that was like a platformer where you play as like a weird like Harlequin style clown who did cartwheels. I really liked that because it was a gift that we had.
It's similar to like, I remember getting the PS2 with some like bad launch games or like launch-ish games, I suppose. Like I got the Robot Wars game because I was really into Robot Wars at the time, and god damn, that's a bad video game.
Yeah, we had like a demo disc with a demo for the game The Unholy War on it, which was like an arena fighter where you played as monsters. And me and my brother would play the shit out of that demo, and my parents could never find the game to give us as a gift. So we asked for it for like 2 or 3 years on the bounce. We just never got it. But I've sent you the image now, Lucas.
That's a sign of a high-quality video game when they hunt down the game and still can't find it.
They can't find it because it was so obscure. It wasn't good, but me and my brothers played a lot of it.
Right, so that is a picture of Waluigi. For Waluigi Wednesday and Wiggler Wednesday, they wanted you to know, which would you prefer? And I'll try and hold the phone up to my poor webcam.
Yeah.
Right now.
Hashtag Wiggler Wednesday. But they misspelled
Wednesday.
Wiggler. And I think that got deleted in about 40 seconds, I want to say.
Hopefully that's showed up okay on the webcam.
To touch.
I might have to, but...
I believe that was up for about 40 seconds, which, as we all know, is not enough time on the internet.
No. And,
Official Nintendo of America account, by the way.
Wigger Wednesday. God. That was unfortunate.
Which itself is just, hits the ear wrong.
Not to bear in mind the fact that Waluigi looks like he's mounting Wiggler.
Yeah. There's a couple of examples of people really fucking that up. There was one where it was a hashtag for survivors of sexual assault. And they were sharing the stories. It's why I stayed was the hashtag. And it's them sharing, why did you stay with your abusive partner? It was DiGiorno's Pizza. Saw that and went, let's hop on that. It's about people staying.
No.
Why I stayed, he had pizza. 20,000 retweets later, company issues official apology for insensitive tweet.
Remember that time? It's not quite as bad, but when Burger King put out women should stay in the kitchen or something like that for women's, and then they had Independence Day or whatever.
And then a follow-up tweet was, and also in management, but no one's reading that second tweet.
Yeah, no one cared about the second tweet.
And as well, here's the thing about the internet: people love taking stuff out of context.
Exactly.
All you need to do is screenshot that first. People could take some of the stuff we've said in this video out of context, and it make us seem real fucking bad.
Well, I mean, look at the fucking Yautja video, the Yautja honor code, Karl. Said many things that could have been clipped in that one, but yeah, I will move back to Diddy Kong Racing to try and get ourselves back on the road, but Diddy Kong Racing, I don't think is a bad video game. I replayed it in essentially one sitting. Like, just one night, I was like, you know what? Let's bring Diddy Kong Racing back. Let's revisit it. And
let's get a Diddy on. The best if you're watching the video version, you're getting a way better experience than the audio listeners. Because if you're watching on video, you can see my real sly looks and Lucas getting real mad. You can see a friendship dissolve in real time.
Can't do this to me.
Just like when people play Diddy Kong Racing, right? It's one of those friendship destroyer games, if I remember correctly.
So, like all kart races are in that context, but this is, it's an N64 game. I think during that time, the main competitors were like Mario Kart 64, Crash Team Racing, all within like a few years of each other. We got I think Twisted Metal around that same time as well, maybe.
Which weren't exactly the same thing, but
they're all slightly different. But Twisted Metal is like car combat, right?
Yeah, I really like the car combat genre, and it was weirdly popular in the PS1 days. We had Twisted Metal, like the 3 or 4 sequels that it had. Mm-hmm. Remember like Vigilante 8?
I don't remember that one.
I played the shit out of Vigilante 8. That was the car combat game.
The one for me that I played the shit out of was Cell Damage.
I don't remember
which was like the cartoony Looney Tunes-esque like car combat game that was in cel-shaded graphics.
I don't remember that one, but it sounds awesome. Like, car combat needs to make a comeback. Car combat was always so fun.
But, like, this is a proper kart racing game, not a kart combat game. But it's a 1997 kart racing game developed and published by Rare for the N64. The game revolves around Diddy Kong and his friends' attempt to defeat the intergalactic antagonist, a wizard named Wizpig, through a series of races. And
you know what? I am all down for Wizpig.
It's like so bizarre to go back to because it's like they bring up Timber the Tiger, an OC character, on like Dino Island or something, and the opening is like, hey, Wizpig, this intergalactic like invader, has come to take our like island away from us and take over, but then we have to defeat him in a challenge of races. And like, what were Rare on in the 90s?
I am such a fan though of the plot being, obviously the plot of this is it's an excuse to hang the gameplay on, but when the plot is, this giant like monster or antagonist from beyond the stars comes to Earth but holds a tournament, it's like that's Mortal Kombat, right? Shao Kahn could realistically take over Earthrealm on his own.
But he decides...
But he has to hold a tournament.
No, we'll be honourable, and if you can beat me in a tournament, then you
10 times in a row, by the way. He has to win 10 times in a row.
And then beat me, then you can, like, have your Earthrealm to yourself.
That's in Token Battle, where the antagonist of that is Champion of the Universe. He's quite an obscure character.
Ooh.
We've never even done a wiki on him. That's how obscure he is. We've not talked about him at all. We've mentioned him offhand in a video about The Thing, because he fights The Thing in one comic, but... Yeah, his whole deal is he challenges an entire planet to a fist fight against himself. And he says, like, okay, like, gather your strongest warriors. Normally I let you fight in teams of 100 against me. But for Earth, because he's got superheroes, you can have a team of 4. And that's the justification for it being 4-on-4.
Because I've only played Tokon in the, Tokon, I think it's actually meant to be pronounced. But I've only played the beta. I've not actually played the full release, so I wasn't aware of that context for the story, but yeah.
It's great that you can play as him as well, and if you pick him, you can't use assists, because Champion fights on his own.
Oh, they did that thing that you always wanted them to do with Jiren.
Yeah, I always wanted Jiren in fighters to have no allies, but yeah, Champion, you can pick allies, but when you call him in, he flexes instead and sends them away.
That's really
so, of course, he's my main.
Of course.
Tell me more about the Diddy racing, though.
You can't stop it, Karl. Stop it.
That's the name. It's Diddy Kong Racing.
Diddy Kong Racing.
That wasn't even a joke one that time. That's just like, no, I'd call it Diddy Racing.
It's not Diddy Racing.
Do you remember like Burger King sold Diddy Donuts? How good were Diddy Donuts?
I don't know. I've never...
No, honestly, do you remember them? They were the really small donuts, but you dip them, so they were dipping donuts.
Right. Well, we'll call them Dippin' Donuts from now on.
Dipping Donuts were awesome.
I didn't genuinely remember that at all. But
you don't remember them when they had like the small menu?
I'm aware of little donuts that you can dip, but I didn't know that Burger King did them.
Yeah, they had like the small menu where you get like a small fries, a small cheeseburger, and some Diddy donuts. And it was a great meal. I'm not even trying to make it sound bad. I'm just like thinking of all the words.
Just call them Dippin' Donuts.
But they weren't Dippin' Donuts.
I know. But Dipping Kong Racing features 5 worlds with 4 racetracks each, and the ability to drive a car, hovercraft, or pilot an aeroplane. And that's one thing that really...
Is it one of those games where there is an obvious best choice of vehicle to pick?
The hovercraft is trash.
Yeah.
It's just awful to control. And I'm not even going to, like, try and defend it with nostalgia goggles or anything. The hovercraft always felt bad. It feels bad now. It felt bad as a kid. Avoid the hovercraft. And someone's going to be in the comment like, technically, it's the fastest vehicle or something if you master it. I don't know, but...
It was like, was it Mario Kart 8, was it? Where you just pick a bike?
So there was for a while. Ironically, maybe that's where it came from. Maybe that's why they tweeted it out. Is that I think the meta for a good chunk of time was Waluigi on the Wiggler bike.
Okay.
So, or like the Wiggler like ATV type vehicle.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they tried to tweet that out and there was just an unfortunate spelling error.
Mm-hmm. But obviously it's one of those things where it's just one choice is just clearly the optimal one. And it's not even a matter of like taste or preference. It's just you pick, in that game, you pick a bike.
Yeah, so like, realistically, if you're playing the game the normal way, before I get into the depths, you could pick a car or an aeroplane and be in with a pretty good chance. And not every track has every vehicle available, so it's very much dependent on like which track you're playing on. But this was kind of the first racing game that I'm aware of, at least, to give you different types of vehicles as an option.
Yeah, and presumably, like, you know, you had Gran Turismo and stuff. Like, they always give you an option.
Well, I mean, different vehicle types, not different vehicles.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, you're still driving a car. And most of the time, like a Gran Turismo or a Ridge Racer, most of the cars fall into, it's usually horsepower or, like, general, like, top speed that they fall into, right?
Mm-hmm. And,
but having different types of cars, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
It's really interesting. It doesn't work out in practice when you get into like the weird broken game mechanics, but I'll get into that, as I say, in a minute. But the characters are weird because like I'll go into the characters. Hopefully, it's got a segment on the characters at least.
I'd hope so. If not, I can look it up. I'll look up like Diddy Kong Racing characters now.
Oh no, Karl!
What?
I just scrolled to the bottom of the wiki and there's a title: "The Diddy Laugh."
The Diddy laugh? What's wrong with that?
Oh, it's just unfortunate in retrospect, isn't it?
It is, and that's the thing, like, sure.
Yeah. But
you can't ignore it.
You can't ignore it. The Diddy Kong...
And do you know what? I'm in the mindset that we shouldn't have to change it. It's the other guy that sucks.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, 100%. But Dipping
I do
Kong
have a
Racing...
list of the characters, yeah.
I was just going to say, it did receive critical acclaim upon release. So the graphics, audio, and gameplay were amongst the most lauded aspects.
I've heard the soundtrack's absolutely bopping, and I have.
Oh, the soundtrack is incredible. Yeah,
I've listened to like, you know, the OC remixes of the soundtrack and had as like background music and streams and stuff. Because you know what, just kart racers on the whole tend to have banger music. Like Luke's what's our go-to song in Smash Bros.
Ring-a-ding.
There's a couple, but what's the one we usually pick from Mario Kart on the Mario Kart stage?
The Mario Kart one is Waluigi Pinball.
Waluigi Pinball.
Yeah. Absolute rave music. But there was some criticism directed at the game's repetition, because
It's a rare game.
Every single race that you do, you have to do a second time in the Silver Coin Challenge. Every boss battle you do, or boss race you have to do it a second time as like a harder version and stuff. So like they padded out the playtime quite a lot.
Again, it's a rare game.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, go through the characters for me.
Okay, so oddly enough, Banjo.
So Banjo and Conker,
both
in there before their games were out.
I didn't know that. I assume they put them in as a reference. Because I like is it Mario Kart 8? Like Link's in there on the Master Cycle.
Yeah, but they were already developing those games and those characters, but they weren't released characters yet.
Oh, is this like that Sonic cameo in that Sega racing game where they had the sprite for Sonic, but the game wasn't released? But they put the sprite in the car as like an ornament. So Sonic's first appearance is not Sonic 1, it's like some Sega racing game.
I wasn't aware of that, actually, yeah.
Yeah, we have Banjo and... Is Kazooie in it? No, Kazooie's not just Banjo.
Kazooie wasn't in... Like, Kazooie was not in Banjo and Kazooie yet.
Oh, okay. We have Pipsy the Mouse.
Yeah, an OC that was originally meant to be, like, a character that was, like, this mouse astronaut for a game that never came out.
Bluey the Whale. Or Bluey the Walrus. Bubbler the Octopus. Bumper the Badger. Smokey the Dragon. TT. Taj the Genie. Timber the Tiger. Tip Top the Turtle. Diddy Kong. Drumstick the Rooster.
Yeah.
Tricky the Triceratops. Crunch the Kremling. And Whizpig. So, okay, rule.
A few of those... They've included the bosses there. So there's 10 playable characters. I don't know if you said TT, the timer
TT's
as well.
the weird
TT
sun
the
man.
timer. No, he's a timer clock.
Okay.
So he's the time trials boss. Basically, like, every time you beat the developer time, it's against the character TT.
Okay. Do you know what? I miss that as well. I miss when games be like, hey, look, the people who made the game spent fucking months playing it behind the scenes. Here's some of their times.
Yeah, so the way to unlock TT is to unlock the 5th world. You have to unlock the space world, because of course you go to space. But like, you have to beat all 20 tracks on time trials, then beat the TT time, which is like the dev times, and then you unlock TT as a character who's the most broken character in the game. But yeah, like, it's wild to me that you just had video games back in the day. I'd say, like, just, oh yeah, you're on an island with unknown characters, apart from Diddy Kong, and go fight Whizpig in space. And it's like, of course that's an N64 premise for a game, sure.
Yeah. I do like, though, the idea of having boss characters unlockable, but I'm going to say Diddy Kong Racing, that's not a memorable cast of characters.
It's more memorable in retrospect, because you have Banjo and Conker in there.
Mm-hmm.
And Drumstick was memorable because he was the unlockable character that was pretty broken.
So where's like K. Rool?
So King K. Rool would have been a character at the time, yeah, because he was
the Kremlins are there, right? Yeah.
But yeah, they retroactively like put in a few characters that they knew were coming up and stuff. But they included a Kremlin in Crunch, but they didn't put
not the man himself.
They didn't put Donkey Kong in there, right? And like, I think
because it's Diddy Kong's game, but you got to put Donkey Kong in there. It's like, yeah, we have a Mario Kart racer. Bowser's always there.
So there was a sequel named Donkey Kong Racing that was in development for GameCube, but you know, it was fully promoted and stuff, and it had like Donkey Kong riding Rambi the Rhino in a promo art and stuff like that. But then Microsoft bought Rare, so that game was cancelled. So
I like K. Rool. I absolutely adore his gimmick of it's always a multi-phase fight, and the first time you beat him, the credits roll, but it's credits with a K.
Right.
And it's like everyone's name with a K, and then his music starts up again, but faster this time, you got to fight him again.
I didn't even know that. I've never beaten a Donkey Kong Country game. I've played them, but I've never beaten them.
I just like it's a fun gimmick for like, you think you're beating him, then he comes back and his boss theme plays, but better this time.
That is cool.
Then you fight the real K. Rool.
And I guess that's kind of like similar to this, right? Of like, you beat the boss, and then it's like revealed that, oh no, go do the silver coin challenges, then fight me again when you're stronger and harder. Go and train.
Yeah. And this reminds me, do you know that Sonic game that came out, like Sonic Racing Generations? I was curious about like the crossovers they had.
The Crossworlds? Is that the one you mean?
Yeah. Have you seen like the latest DLC for that game? Because I thought it had a couple of like...
They're weird as hell, right? There's like an Avatar land and stuff like that.
So let's just go fast. We've got Steve and Alex from Minecraft, a Creeper, SpongeBob, Patrick, Pac-Man, The Ghosts, all separate, Mega Man, Proto Man, Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, Michelangelo, Aang and Katara from Nickelodeon, Hatsune Miku, Joker from Persona, Ichiban Kasuga from Yakuza, Knights from Knights like Under Dreams, I the Monkey, Tangle, Whisper, Red the Angry Bird, Goro Majima from Yakuza, Pirate, because he's wearing the pirate one,
They own
Classic
fucking
Sonic,
Angry Birds.
Axel from Crazy Taxi, and Amigo.
That's one thing that I love Sega for, is that they don't give a shit. Like in Super Monkey Ball,
they don't give a fuck, right?
Banana Bonanza or something like that. They were like, do you want to roll around as Kiryu Majima in Monkey Balls? Yeah, sure. Like every game that they own, they just like put it in everything.
And then, if you pre-order the game, you get the Werehog. Can I what's the opposite of pre-order? So can I do that to have the Werehog taken out?
Can you buy a version that removes him from existence?
Is that you with Dark Pit, wasn't it? Where you absolutely refused on principle to unlock Dark Pit for Smash Bros.
I love that Dark Pit came up as an unlockable character.
And I unlock characters in Smash Bros.
So, you can go through different ways to unlock them, through the adventure or just through playing versus modes and stuff. And a character after you win a match will challenge you to unlock them. So you've got to beat them in a fight. And I hate Dark Pit so much that I didn't want to unlock Dark Pit.
You didn't want to win your character select screen.
Bear in mind, I did this on 2 different Switches, so this happened to me twice. Twice I refused to fight Dark Pit and he walked off the edge and killed himself.
Yeah, because you, as soon as that fight... Because I remember playing with you, because when the game first came out, we had a weekend together. Mm-hmm. It's we'll unlock all the characters. And every time Dark Pit came up, whoever was holding the controller run straight off the edge as fast as they could. Because you told us you'd been doing that. And then when we went home, you texted saying, Dark Pit's in my game. He ran off the edge instead.
And then I booted it up on my newer Switch, unlocked characters again, and he did it a second time. He just immediately killed himself.
I like the idea of just out of pure spite refusing to use a mechanic. Doing Todoroki, right? I refuse to use my fire side.
Yeah, I refuse to use my father's power because he's a dickhead.
Yeah, and, you just Todoroki'd it. I refuse to use Dark Pit. He's not even appearing on my fucking character select screen.
And then Dark Pit just took that as a challenge and went, bet, let's do it. So you can run off the edge first. Because I dropped the controller and just was I'm not fighting him. He can just beat me. And he just walked off the edge and killed himself. Oh, but going back to Diddy Kong Racing, Karl, it sold 4.8 million copies since its release.
For a second, I genuinely thought you were going to say billion. I don't know why.
4.8 more billion copies.
$1 billion, right? It's I think it's because I just edited the Pirates of the Caribbean video where I said it made $1 billion at the box office. So I was thinking he was going to say $1 billion.
It stands as Nintendo 64's 8th best-selling game, Karl.
Not 8th. 8th.
8th.
Get it right.
But yeah, I absolutely love this game, but it is busted as hell, and I will talk about that now because,
I'm aware via reputation that this game, unlike Mario, which you can cheese Mario, and I've seen those speed runs, I've seen people who compete to this day in the time trials in noon of every Mario game, but there is some next level nonsense you can do in Diddy Kong Racing, right? That makes it not even fair against the cheating rubber banding AI. And what is it?
So there's 2 different mechanics. One is, I think it only works if you're in a car, but it might work in a hovercraft, but I avoid the hovercrafts at all cost.
Okay.
It doesn't work in a plane, but if you mash the A button instead of holding it, like the accelerate button, you go way faster.
That's how cars work, right?
So if you just mash the accelerate button, you just all of a sudden go way faster than all of your opponents do.
Well, so that's how cars work.
Yeah, sure.
So my dad drives his car.
I don't want to know how your dad drives, because he can drive a bendy bus. I'm afraid of those people.
I think the scariest thing I ever learned from my dad about that is he can drive a bendy bus. Is when I asked him, "I don't know where the back end is." He went, "Oh, you just guess." So every time I see one of those driving past, I always take a few extra steps back.
Yeah. I'm terrified by that idea of someone just spending years of their life guessing where the rest of the car is. But there's also the mechanic where if you let go of accelerate as you either use your boost power up or you go over a boost pad or through a boost ring if you're in an airplane, you get a better than maximum boost. So if you just let go of the accelerate button for a few seconds while you boost, you go like 5 times faster than when you just use a boost.
Oh, because I imagine if that's like, if you are starting from like, I imagine the way it's programmed is the lower the speed is, or the lower it detects you're driving, it gives you a proportionate boost to get you to max speed. And it never expects you to not be holding the accelerate button.
Something maybe along those lines. And that's the thing is, I don't know.
Like it was like mushrooms in Mario, right? Where you get a better burst of speed from starting stop than if you use it at max speed.
If you use like a thunder or a bullet bill or something, or a lightning, not thunder. I always say thunder for some reason. You get a shock like towards the back. If you're like in 24th place in Mario Kart World, it'll last way longer than if you use that in 3rd place.
Yeah, to speed you up.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
like if you
try
use
and balance things out a bit.
If you use a mushroom, it's mushroom boost, right? If you use it from a starting stop, you get a huge boost of speed. If you use it at top speed, you get a slight boost of speed because you're already at max acceleration.
And it's just a wild mechanic, and it then lets you play as, each character's got individual stats, and
is there just one character who's better? Is the Sun, right, or the Time guy? So he's just better in every way.
So TT and Drumstick, they're the unlockable characters that are, TT especially is quite tough to unlock. But they are just, stat-wise, better. They are just better than other characters.
See, I don't like that. I like it when they're, like, for example, Akuma, probably one of the most famous, like, boss characters.
Mm-hmm.
You might think he's unbeatable, but Akuma, universally in near enough every game he's in, has lower health than everybody else on the roster.
Yeah.
Because story-wise, Akuma doesn't train durability because no one lands a fucking hit on him.
Mm-hmm. He's a powerhouse, but it lacks in defense. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how they balance him. If like we give him mass attack, speed, and damage, but he's got a really low stun threshold and lower health than the rest of the cast. That's how we balance him. I don't like it. It's just, he's just better than everyone else.
Yeah, and like by the time you unlock TT, there's no real reason to use anyone else.
Yeah, there's also no challenge, I imagine. Because at that point, to unlock him, you've got to do the most difficult thing in the game. Like the thing that you'd probably use that character for, say, all the time trials.
It's similar to like when you unlock in an RPG, like you unlock the super weapon for beating the super boss, but now I've got nothing to use the super weapon on.
Yeah, it feels a bit hollow.
Yeah, because if you get into the point where you can beat the super boss, you're already strong enough to defeat anything else in the game, so why do you need a better weapon?
Yeah, and what for you is like the most blatantly busted thing you can unlock in a game? Because I'm still thinking like fighting game terms here. There is the famous one is Ivan Ooze in a Power Rangers fighting game, where he's the boss character. So from round start he can fly. So before the round even starts, he can fly into a top corner of a screen. A place on the screen no other character can attack except for another Ivan Ooze, and then just launch projectiles at a diagonal angle as the match starts and stun lock the character from second one to death.
That sounds like Ivan Ooze.
It's literally a 10-0 matchup for every member of the cast except for himself.
Oh, God. Yeah, that just makes the game super boring, right? Because like when there's only one character worth picking, it's like in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Like they had to ban Meta Knight because there was no point in picking anything other than Meta Knight. So at that point, it's a solved game.
Yeah, he was so good that every other character's ranking on the tier list was based on their ability to fight Meta Knight, and no character on the tier list had a good matchup against him except for another Meta Knight.
Yeah, like there was no reason to enter a tournament and use anything out of the 40 character roster or whatever it was at the time. Like there's no reason to use anything but a Meta Knight.
Yeah, and he was so good that every other character's viability had their viability ranked in terms of how good they'd be at fighting Meta Knight, because he was so dominant, every player picked him.
So then, when they ban Meta Knight, that all of a sudden unlocks...
It opens up the rest of the game.
Like, every other character for viability, right?
So I recently watched a couple of videos on, like, Def Jam Fight for New York, which people write off as, like, it's a hip-hop fighting game, but it has a weirdly large amount of depth to it. And there's an unlockable character in that, Suspect. And he's like a bonus character because every character model in that game is in the multiplayer. Because why not? And Suspect is the black silhouette of your character before you use the create a character function. So they just had this generic model of an entirely black like man. So like Shadow wearing just like generic outfit of like a baseball cap. And they just gave him maximum stats. But he's balanced because he has one fighting style. And in that game, you can have up to 3. So he has perfect stats, but his move set is very limited. And that's how they balance him. It's like even a character with perfect stats across the board can be balanced by just giving them a really, like I said, a limited moveset that limits their ability to take advantage of those stats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I found that interesting.
That's an interesting way to go around it, right? But, like, you know, just going back to Diddy Kong Racing, I think, like, it's an interesting thing when you unlock the kind of knowledge where you wouldn't necessarily use the characters with the high handling and low speed because, you know, you want a bit more of a balanced character. But, like, Pipsy the Mouse, for example, or, like, Tip Top the Turtle, they're, like, on a 1 or a 1.5 up 5 for speed. But when you know the other mechanics that, like, the game doesn't tell you about,
right?
all of a sudden they're the top tier picks for most races in my head because, like, any track that you've got to go through winding paths, you pick the character with the best handling.
And they never need to slow down.
They never need to slow down because they've got all the extra boosts and you can just mash the A button when you're playing in a car and stuff. Like,
yeah, feels like a lot of Mario Kart games, like heavies. Generally, they balance heavies by giving them worse maneuverability but higher top speed.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's what they do in this as well. But
yeah, a lot of the Mario games have universal mechanics like the drift, which circumvents the lack of a turning circle on the heavier characters, because drift just lets you just drift around a corner perfectly.
But they also drift worse.
In some games, yeah.
Yeah.
But I know there's some games where heavy characters is really good because they were designed for more players as well, so the tracks were bigger, so the turning circle being wider doesn't matter on a bigger track.
The, you know, most famous example of, like, this being completely busted and broken is, like, Mario Kart DS, where the only option really was to put dry bones in the tank. I don't know whether he got other vehicles. I can't remember Mario Kart DS.
That was the best one, though, because the track's very small, because it was designed for a DS.
Yeah, and, like, there was a broken thing with snaking. Of, like, if you could snake along the route, drifting back and forth and getting mini turbos side to side throughout the track, you had a character like Dry Bones who could do that really efficiently. You could get little boosts across all of the courses, across all of the time. Like, you'd never stop boosting. So like,
they had a lower top speed than Bowser, but because they were always boosting, their top speed on average was higher. And you know what? I want to see a racer do that in real life. I want to see, like, Max Verstappen, like, do. It's like he's using a new technique never before seen. He turns up in, like, the little tank.
And that, I think, like, not techniques necessarily, but, like, you know, there are certain cars and things that have done to cars that have had to be banned by F1 in the past because, like, essentially you've broken the rules. We can't let you do this. This is too busted, and your car's too good.
I think one of the more egregious was some manufacturers made their fuel tanks deliberately smaller. Because you'd think, well, surely you just fill the car's tank up to maximum, right? And it's like, but there's a lot of money in racing.
Every single gram counts when it comes to F1.
Every, like, barley corn.
Every barley corn counts.
And some egghead realised, if you fill the car's tank up for enough to get it around 30 laps, and we get someone to calculate exactly how much fuel that is, and then put a little bit more in than that to account for, you know, braking and stuff, and then we refuel the car on the 29th lap when they come in for their tyre change. So
rather than lugging around like 50 laps worth of fuel throughout the entire race, you're, you know, having nearly half the amount or whatever the actual numbers work out to be.
And that means as well, as you get close to that last lap, you can keep speeding up. And at some point, manufacturers got so good at this that they deliberately designed cars to have smaller gas tanks to, you know, lose space. Because a big gas tank that's empty, well, that's waste of space. That's also waste of grams. Also, the fuel sloshing around can affect performance in a minor way.
And also then, you know, it might be one of those things that, like, well, it's a time-consuming thing to refuel. Maybe to begin with, but obviously people have seen
the videos.
I'm sure videos of tyre changes, of like the 1.2 second tyre changes or whatever, of like just in and out.
So while that's happening, also just like, you know, fuel injection.
Yeah, they optimize the way that they can refuel as well.
But it got to the point where there was one time where they realised, okay, that's you're putting your thumb on the scale here. That's not fair. So all cars must be filled at the start of the race to minimise that. Mm-hmm. But some cars had fuel tanks that were too small. So there was one year where just in the middle of the race, a lot of cars just stopped because they didn't have enough fuel to finish, but they still wanted to set a decent lap time while they fixed the problem.
And it is one of those things, right? Of like sometimes there are things where the Formula One, they will like whatever, whoever's in charge of that, they will rein teams in and stop teams using certain tactics. And a lot of it, I think nowadays has been tried to be equalized across the board. Like I think for a while, Red Bull just like had more money, so they were the team that were dominant or something like that. I don't follow F1, but I'm aware of it.
If they realised if before the race you rub the car with money, it goes faster.
That's how it works. If you just bribe the car into going a bit quicker.
It does work. Just try it. Just rub money on your car, it drives faster. It's like paint it red as well. Red ones go faster. Orcs know that.
Well, that's a legitimate, interesting thing in sports. Not that red cars go faster, but that red teams have an advantage.
It's a minor one, psychologically, like red is just a colour that... It's not something you pick on consciously, but it's been observed enough for it to be a noticeable pattern of teams that wear stereotypically aggressive colours, red, black, perform better on average, contrary to the expectations placed against them.
There are enough games of sports being played where it is a, statistical advantage to wear red.
Yeah, and they've seen this. There's like, just colour has a strange effect. Like there was a bridge, I think it might have been in Japan somewhere, where it was noted for a lot of people jumped off that bridge. And they were advised, paint it blue. Because blue has a calming effect. Mm-hmm. There was loads of like little subconscious quirks like that you might not notice. They stop you. Another one is in experiments. If you put out like a plate of food and just say like take one, people generally take one, so people take more than one. Mm-hmm. They discovered that if you paint an eyeball or put a picture of an eye or a face on that warning or that request, on average people adhere to it more than they do if it's not there. And that's because subconsciously it makes you think you're being watched. And if you're being watched, you're not going to act in a way you think would be judged. Even though it's a painted eye.
It's similar to like people who leave Halloween treats outside, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's a notice difference between how people act if you leave like a Grim Reaper statue or a skeleton or something next to the table because it feels like you're being watched and observed.
Yeah, it feels like there's a person there.
And similar to like, a very British example is that people will notice in, I don't know what it's called now, but either home bargains or home and bargains, because the one in Liverpool's been changed to a home and bargains.
I've seen, are these like the cutout policemen?
The cutout policemen in the windows.
Yeah.
So they, in home bargains, home and bargains, whatever it's called now.
It's a discount store.
Cut out policemen pasted on like the windows so that people feel like they're being watched, and like there's a noticeable trend where that actually helps people to not break
shoplift
into the store and stuff.
Like most stores have a sign saying shoplifters will be prosecuted, but home bargains went one step further and just like got an actual cutout of a policeman, life size, and sticks that at the front of most entrances. And just like subconsciously, it makes you feel like there's a police presence here. Mm-hmm. Even though there's not.
There's not.
It's a painting, but studies have shown that it works, and for very little cost as well. What's the cost of paying for a stock PNG of a policeman and a couple hundred stickers?
I do want to look it up now. Has Home Bargains rebranded to Home and Bargains because it was colloquial known as Home and Bargains for so long?
I would just call it Home Bargains. Bargains.
It is still Home Bargains when I Google it, but at very least there's one in Liverpool that says on the storefront Home plus Bargains.
It's like B&M, right? Well, I always call it B&M, and it was never called B&M, it was always Bargain Madness. Oh, it's called B&M, but I always call it Bargain Madness because we had a knockoff Home Bargains. So this is so British. In my hometown, and we didn't realise it was a knockoff of another discount chain called Bargain It's like B&M, which is like bargains and markets or something like that.
Right.
But I saw that soon as what B&M meant. Like, which is so fucking English. I'm so sorry.
We've
folks.
had a very English episode. So there was a remake of Diddy Kong Racing on the DS. So it was just called Diddy Kong Racing DS. Developed again by Rare and published by Nintendo. Which is a weird thing that Rare had like a period of time where Microsoft were letting them like, well, Xbox in general were like letting games get published. Like there was like a Viva Pinata game, again Rare, on DS.
This feels like a contractual obligations behind the scenes.
Well, of course,
we
if they want
to
remake Diddy Kong Racing, that's a Nintendo character. Like, Rare created Diddy Kong as a character, but Nintendo owned the IP, so like,
they were contracted by Nintendo when they did so.
Yeah, like, they have to go through Nintendo if they want to do anything with Diddy Kong Racing again.
I love business and corporations. It's such a wonderful thing.
Yeah, so wonderful. But
it's so funny that every time I boot my PS5, I see Master Chief there. So fucking funny.
It received enhanced visuals and frame rate in addition to touchscreen functions and rumble pack support via force feedback.
Like touching your Diddy
Four new Donkey Kong themed racetracks were included in the remake, along with several modifications to the soundtrack. And Banjo and Conker were replaced by Tiny Kong and Dixie Kong, and Taj and Whizpig were also added as playable characters. And all I've heard about Diddy Kong Racing DS is that it's an inferior version. The frame rate improvements would be nice, though, because it chugs sometimes.
But here's one for me of this year is the 25th anniversary of one of my favourite games of all time, Final Fantasy X. And I have long maintained that the quote-unquote remastered version of that game, so on PS4, I think it was a PS5 enhanced version.
X/X2, like HD edition or whatever,
Yeah, which has some changes to it. I contend that is a worse version of the game, because they updated all the models to look shinier, but in the process of updating the models and smoothing them out, it smoothed out facial features. So, for example, like, do you like when Yuna frowns, like, and she furrows her brow? They remove that just to smooth out the model to make it look nice. So she's actually less expressive.
Yeah. And like...
Which is weird, right? Like, what, a decade of... Because that came out like 10 years ago. A decade of improvements, a supposed better version with enhanced graphics. And it looks worse.
There's a lot of examples specifically with Final Fantasy remasters. Not like the 7 remakes, but the remasters.
That's a ground-up remake, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like, the remasters, like, I remember... There were like mobile editions and Steam editions and stuff of like
where they fucked all the
Final Fantasy games where like they smoothed out all the pixels and it looked terrible and like the text was really unreadable and stuff, and like people made mods to undo some of the remasters because they still want to play it on PC, but it's like an inferior version of the Super Nintendo games.
It's weird. I remember it was like Metal Gear Solid is another example where there's Metal Gear Solid HD, which is better, but a lot of fans, myself included, maintain it is the worst version of the game because it's easier.
Well,
because that introduced the 3D camera, which completely breaks the game because it's like an isometric top-down view from a very specific angle.
Yeah.
But being able to just basically have omniscience of seeing around the environments completely removes any of the challenge that was intended.
It's similar to the Twin Snakes. A lot of people don't like the fact that the Twin Snakes introduced the first-person mode because
first-person shooting
that made some of the boss fights like really brokenly easy.
Yeah, like Sniper Wolf, like you can just see from second one, you can spot her with a pistol and shoot her and end the fight in like 10 seconds.
Even though the point was that the fog was meant to cover up Sniper Wolf in the PS1 version,
and you got
similar
down,
to was it the Silent Hill HD that removed the fog because they saw a technical limitation, but it's like no, but then
the game was built around that technical limitation. The fog in Silent Hill was there to mask a poor draw distance, but the fog, the developers were aware of that and built a lot of the game system around the fog, of the idea that it results in a claustrophobic feeling where you don't quite know what's out there. In the HD version, where they remove the fog, you can see where the enemies spawn, so you can avoid them very easily.
Yeah, like it's meant to be that enemies are creeping up on you through the fog and you can't see them. It adds to the horror, adds to the atmosphere. Like, seeing a Silent Hill without fog is just wrong.
Do you know my favourite update that they did? Because they went through the game's original files, and some of them couldn't be cleaned up. So what they did is the texture, we can probably save the texture, or we can copy like the clone tool in Photoshop. But the text is too blurry. Replace the text. They replaced the text with Comic Sans. And I'll tell you what, one thing, like, tone annihilating is not the word when you see Welcome to Silent Hill in Comic Sans. And I think as well, actually, it's not tone annihilating, it's tone settings. I think that gives you an idea of the kind of fucking nonsense that you're in for.
True.
It sounds like a joke, right? I think we mentioned it in a video once and you didn't believe me until I showed you. It's like, oh shit, they replaced the text with Comic Sans.
It sounds like it is a joke. It really
It'd be
does.
the joke way to do that update, right? If you were asked to make a bad version of Silent Hill, where you change all the text from the creepy oldie text to Comic Sans, you remove all the fog. You change James's voice actor because Guy he was having arguments with Konami about rights and ownership of his voice, so they got another voice actor in who wasn't given the same direction, and they recorded his sound booth differently, so the audio sounds different.
I remember that being a thing of like people were mad at the remaster or remake or whatever of like Symphony of the Night, I think it was one of the Castlevanias, where like they had terrible voice acting
instead of the text.
The terrible voice acting was in the original, but it'd been long enough that people started to love the bad voice acting and memeing on it and stuff.
It becomes part of its charm, doesn't it?
Exactly, and then they remastered it and got new voice actors to like fix the bad, the bad voice acting. But it's similar to like Resident Evil. Like you would want to play Resident Evil with the lines like, "Oh, you were almost a Jill sandwich."
Yeah. What is this?
No. And the fact that people get mad that the voice acting is better in the other version of it.
Because it doesn't need fixing. It'd be like repainting the Mona Lisa and giving her eyebrows again.
Yeah. Or like, bringing it back to video games. I guess like another memed upon game is like how bad the translation was in like a game called like Zero Wing or whatever.
Oh, all your base now belong to us.
All your base now belong to us. And like, imagine removing that line nowadays out of that video game. People would be so mad.
It's like almost like bad, like those classic when people had to dub anime on their own, right? Of like taking away some of those.
That's why some people get mad that they like redubbed early Dragon Ball Z, right? Because like some of those
the bad
terrible.
Voices are part of the charm.
Or like the fact that we can't get access to like the 4Kids version of early One Piece anymore and stuff.
I miss like Chain Smoking Frieza. Chain Smoking Frieza was so when they like Frieza was voiced by like an elderly woman who's like 80 a day. Like I love the current Frieza where it's like the refined like, oh, I'll go get a glass of Chardonnay before I eliminate these monkeys. I like that.
But you
really reflects his personality. Something like just Chain Smoking Frieza I kind of liked.
It's like
it's like Blue Popo, man. Blue Popo from like the Ocean dub. I am Blue Popo.
Well, speaking of certain voice lines, Karl, I alluded to it earlier. I've gone down to the bottom, and there is the section called the Diddy laugh.
Okay. He's not laughing no more, is he? Prison.
In the game's opening sequence, the sound of children laughing can be heard when the Rare logo is displayed. This is a stock sound effect, and it's part of a library called the Premier Edition Volume 1, released by sound producer and distributor The Hollywood Edge for use of stock sounds in media. It had already been used in previous films and television shows, but the sound effect has become commonly referred to as the Diddy laugh due to the association with the game. So just the game was so popular that people hear that laugh and have associated with it Diddy Kong Racing now.
Yeah, it's like the Wilhelm scream, right? It's associated with, I think, the guy who dies initially when he uses like Wilhelm. But it initially comes from a film called like Into the Wilds, where it was recorded by a guy. It's like man eaten by crocodile. Right. Was the initial sound effect file name, but now it's just called like the Wilhelm scream. Yeah.
And according to Kevin Bayliss, who was on the team, they got the idea to include a laughing sound effect in the opening after seeing Teletubbies. Of course they did. Sure. Which had just begun airing at the time. They asked Tim Stamper's children, Joe Stamper Jr. and Kimberly Stamper, to laugh and sing in their new sound booth, and their children's laughter was used alongside the original stock sound effect.
That's cool. It's like they've been immortalised in a small way.
I always like that. Yeah.
I also love the explanation by, like, it seems so inconsequential, but there's that great, like, H-Bomber Guy video on, like, the Roblox oof.
Yes. Yeah.
Where it didn't come from Roblox. I think it's Roblox. Right?
It's
came
just
from,
completely associated with Roblox now, yeah.
It didn't come from that, but it was an original stock file, but it come from another game.
Right.
And no one ever fucking played. And I like the idea that, like, he goes on this, like, 2.5 hour long adventure to discover the origins of this single sound effect.
So there we go. H-Bomber Guy. If you want to do a 2-hour video on the Diddy laugh, go for it.
It's not. That's not really a good title. You can't title that one.
Is the title of this podcast DiddyLaugh.mp3?
It's going to have to be, isn't it?
You know what? That can be one of the A/B testing titles.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do DiddyLaugh.mp3.
Oh my god.
No, .wav, because that's higher quality.
I think everyone on YouTube just, like, generally does, like, .mp3 as, like, the jokier title name, right?
We can definitely make that sound worse, though. DiddyLaugh.mp3.
I think that's good enough.
Children? Because it's kids
no.
Did you put Diddy Children Laugh.mp3?
I'm not doing that. The Diddy Laugh.
You title these videos, so it's entirely your choice.
Diddy Laugh.mp3 it is.
But is there a sound effect from, like, a game that you're, like, a huge fan of, or, like, that you enjoy or you associate so strongly with that game it's become, like, a core memory? Cause I always say this, I fucking love, like, the Mario falling ass first into lava. Like, I love that Mario.
The fact that breaks noise gate every time you do it. I never hear you actually do it, but I know you can do it quite well.
Or the Crash Bandicoot. Whoa! Whoa! So good. It's perfect.
It is. I think for me, it's just like Link in Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask specifically. Like, yeah.
It's so good. Man put his whole ass in that one.
And I think as well, like, I specifically chose Hero, like the spiky haired hero in Smash Bros. Ultimate. I decided that would be my character pick for Hero because Sakurai doing the breakdown of his characters for the DLC characters and stuff was like, oh, each skin is voiced by the original voice actor for that game.
Yeah.
And this one's from, like, Dragon Quest 7 or whatever it is. And they also voiced Link. And I was like, right, there it is. Yep, that's my one.
Well, in regards to Smash Bros, people always point out, like, all the characters have, like, screams when they're KO'd, but most of them are more just, like, they shout more in frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, like, I think it's like Byleth, like, my story ends here! Stuff like that. But, like, the voice actor for Roy apparently didn't get the memo and screams like he got set on fire. Like, he just got told, you fall into your death and scream like that rather than, like, oh no, you're in a friendly competition, you've been knocked off the stage. Like, no! But he screamed like he's on fire.
Roy has some great screams, but obviously, like, the best Roy-related sound effect is just, Roy's our boy! Roy's our boy!
Well, the thing is, like, speaking of, like, voice acting, I absolutely adore that the sound effects for King DDD are provided by Sakurai himself.
Yeah.
And I like they did that. He could have put himself at anywhere in the game, and he chose to voice just DDD because that's his favourite character. And all DDD goes, oh, and that's it.
Yeah, like, what's
like, he could have given himself
a
way bigger cameo or more, like, prominence in, like, the story or something. He could have given himself, like, a full-on cameo. He's like, no, I'll voice DDD because he's my character.
Like Pyro and Mithra, right? When he was, like, talking about their characters from, like, feet model. And it's like, look, you can see underneath the feet. He could have voiced them feet.
Yeah.
And he chose not to.
He chose Tarantino DDD.
Yeah. Sakurai, not doing the Tarantino.
It's like Jordan Peele. There's a great interview with him where he's talking about Get Out. And it's like, well, I do have a cameo in this movie. And the person interviewing is like, what? I didn't see that. It's like, you wouldn't see it, you'd hear it. I am the dying, like, deer by the side of the road that goes like, eh! That's the cameo he gave himself.
It's like, you know, there's two ways to give yourself cameos. There's, like, the Tarantino way of, like, creep on women or get yourself to shout the N-word 20 times in one scene. There's, like, the Peter Jackson being a cameo in Hot Fuzz of getting stabbing.
He's the Santa that gets stabbed, or he's in like Lord of the Rings for 1 second,
eating a carrot or something like that. Yeah. Like he just likes to just be a weird asshole for one scene in the background.
Well, the director cameo goes back to Hitchcock, who was famous for doing it, and he always insisted on a cameo, but in a small way. He never wanted to be front and centre. He always wanted it to be something, an Easter egg for the audiences to know who were fans of his work.
Yeah.
One of the best ones is one of his films set entirely on a boat. It's like 13 people stuck on a boat.
Right.
So why are you going to have a cameo in this one then? And one of them was reading a newspaper, and there's an advert for weight loss, and he's the before model. I do think you could have done a Tarantino and be like, no, I want to be the person who skis on this woman with massive tits. It's like...
Or screaming the M-word a lot.
Or choking a woman dressed as a Nazi.
Yeah.
Never forget that one, where they were filming Inglourious Bastards and the actress playing the actress who gets choked out by the Nazi officer. Tarantino was filming her feet and went, hang on, she's not kicking like she's been choked enough. I'll step in.
Mm-hmm.
And choke the woman.
Don't be a Tarantino.
The worst bit is that lady could just feel Tarantino's chub, and it's like...
No.
You know it. And that's the alternate title. Feeling Tarantino's chub. What's worse?
The fact that now that you've said it, it's got to be one of the options, and you know that.
If you've been listening to this channel for long enough, you'll know that one of my favourite things to do, especially in a podcast when we've been recording so long and we start to get delirious due to the heat, is I just love to say out-of-pocket things to try and get Lucas to completely break down and end the podcast.
So thank you all for listening. Remember to, check out the links below to follow the Wiki Weekends Spotify feed if you'd like to, or just like to support us. Check out the Patreon, all that good jazz. Join the Discord if you're not already there. Become part of the community. And yeah, just thank you all for listening all the way to the end.
That's the one. Right, how the hell are we going to get a fucking monetized on this one? We feel like rubber dub dub, time for Tarantino's chub.
Send me to that. Send that to the Discord right now, because that needs to be one of the titles. Dear God, send that to me so I remember.
Rubber dub dub.
Fuck me.
Time for Tarantino's chub.
Oh no!
Is that better or worse than like Wiggler Wednesday or Sue's anal bum party? Oh. All I can think is, do you know that bit in, The Office, where they're, just having an argument and Gabe walks in and is like, who's here for cake? He's like, oh, get out, skeleton man. Oh, God.
Oh, we have fun here, folks.
This is sweat and this is tears. It's mixed together.
Either way, it's salty.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you.
Now, over the years, a newsman learns a number of things that for one reason or another, he just cannot report. It doesn't seem to matter now, so the following people...
Subscribe to the Wiki Weekends Patreon at the $5 tier or above.
Turn it off.
Just a second.
Well, Karl, I'm really glad that we just talked about topic.
Yes. Our conversation about the topic was very interesting, and hopefully the audience also found it interesting. Interesting enough to continue watching the video to this, the part of the video where we shout out our supporters over on our Patreon.
Yeah, so if you want to get a shout out, go and check out our highest tier on our Patreon, and you get a whole month worth of shout outs just like this.
Yeah, so the first person to shout out is Lirio. I'm just going to say that is a Sonic Adventure ass sounding name. I'm not sure if that's what they were going for, but all I can think with the name Lirio is that's just somewhat from Sonic.
Attention all units. Suspect seen heading south. Block all major roads and capture the suspect.
That's like the most energy that name has is like Sonic energy.
Well, there's a lot of energy in Sonic. Dude runs really fast.
Oh no, I wasn't saying that as a bad thing. I love Sonic.
Oh, okay.
100%. I 100%.
100 Sonic. 100 Sonic%.
I 100% percented Sonic Adventure Battle 2.
Me and you are different, because when I say something's like Sonic, I mean it in a derogatory sense, you mean it in a positive sense.
I mean it in both senses, because I have a dichotomy of opinions about different Sonic games.
But I don't know what it is about the name Lirio, it just has big Sonic energy to me.
You know what? That just means that you can't put it in right now, but just think about a Crush 40 song. Just live and learn right in your head.
They will copyright strike us. Or escape from that city. I can't escape from these copyright strikes.
But the next person we have to shout out is B of Awesome, I believe, who...
Yeah, what's this, like, WWE style storyline we've got ongoing in the shout-out section of our videos?
Well, Karl, I'll tell you. Now that B has been exposed, he decides there's no need to hold back any longer. B begins charging up for the final blow.
Crossing over into Dragon Ball territory now, where our shout-outs have storylines. I'm waiting for one of their shout-outs to be of, like, will B of Awesome succeed in their attack? Find out in the next shout-out, B of Awesome succedes in their next attack.
Find out next month.
But is there ever been a funnier, unintentionally funnier, moment in an anime than the part of the Dragon Ball dub that's like Goku versus Frieza of... Will Goku defeat Frieza? Find out in the next episode. Frieza defeated. Anime peaked. It peaked there. Yeah, and you know what? I'm looking forward to what happens in the next episode of B of Awesome's like Patreon adventure. But we have to move swiftly on now to the name that myself and Lucas tiptoe and dance around every fucking shout out. And we greatly appreciate that Tinnicky Horchato supported the channel for as long as they have. But a bit of behind the... I'm going to pull back the curtain on the making of Wiki Weekends here. Myself and Lucas have to like just talk to each other every time we do a shout-out video and go, who's doing Tinnicky Horchata this month? Who is being embarrassed by how badly they pronounce all these words?
And the thing is, you started this.
I did. So I need to suffer.
You invited
by starting
the
Lucas
challenge.
means I invited our audience who support us on Patreon to submit the most difficult or hard to pronounce name they can for their patron name, because we have to shout it out. So without further ado, Tinnicky Horchata, Onkan Miak, Masa Walme, Wan Neo Pak Tok Twale, No Inon, Kwamasa, Woyak Ta Titstock, Kwale, Moixion.
Nailed it.
And
perfect.
If anyone's wondering what that means, it means white boy can't speak Nahuatl.
I love the fact that we are at a point in our lives where someone will pay us to punish us every month in this way.
Admittedly, I've seen streamers punish themselves in much worse ways. We're not doing like the hot chip challenge or something like that, right? But
you know
I'm waiting for someone on Patreon to have their name be Karl and Lucas eat the one hot chip challenge, and we've got to do it.
If somebody does that, I'll do it. Somebody comes in and is like, eat a one hot chip challenge on Patreon as a big PP. I will do it as a shout out. That'll be your shout out.
I think my punishment, because I don't mind spicy food, it'd be something like, eat a salt and vinegar one. Fucking hate salt and vinegar. But if you want to spend your money, like Tinnicky Horchata, embarrassing myself or Lucas, you're more than welcome to.
I'll do it.
Shout out next month for that.
I'll do it. The next person we have to shout out is someone that maybe you're embarrassing in Rustling Memphis.
Hey, I like that they've kept the same name. One, nice and easy to pronounce.
Yes.
But also, I have had a lot of, not fun, it's been more an exercise in frustration, trying to track down a version of a song Walking in Memphis that doesn't get copyright struck.
And I don't watch through these shout-outs, like you edit these.
Yes.
You found ones that haven't hit a copyright strike before, right?
Sometimes, but then the YouTube copyright system gets wise and then copyright strikes it.
Again, peeling behind the scenes, we've had multiple videos this last week get copyright struck for like years ago because it's just chomping down on those copyrights.
Nothing will ever be worse than when that dipshit copyrighted his entire YouTube channel, but he was a gameplay channel, which meant that the copyright system thought he owned Grand Theft Auto 5. It's like the copyright system is a mess, but we do appreciate that Rosalind Memphis has supported us for as long as they have.
Yeah,
and I will endeavour, as long as they support us, to keep trying to find a version of that song so you can pay them proper respect.
Speaking of long-term support, Karl, we have Be of Evil coming in for the second chapter this month. So, sensing a change in his alter ego, Be of Evil starts placing space between him and this do-gooder. It doesn't matter what you try.
And I'm going to point out, because there is a character limit on Patreon, I can see that after last month where we said we will read the word out as it's written, and they smushed a few words together. I can see that specifically they've left no spaces to try and get as much of the information in as possible.
I respect it.
And I kind of like the idea of a writing exercise, like a restrained writing exercise of trying to tell a story exclusively through 100 character Patreon names.
People have pointed out, right, that it was kind of the initial devolution of Twitter was when they started removing character limits, because you don't have to try to write to be funny anymore. You can just space out a bunch of bullshit.
And I always liked Twitter as a writing exercise. When I was writing full time for a living, I really enjoyed it as a way of helping me edit myself. Of if I can't concisely sum up a point in less than 140 characters, I clearly don't understand the point with enough nuance to be able to do that. It's like the old, I think it's an Einstein quote of when he was asked well, how would you define being an expert in something? It's like when you can explain it to a 5-year-old.
Yeah,
so a true expert would be able to do that.
It's like the perfect tweet is not like a 20 tweet thread or a massive unlimited character rant. It's I say 140 characters or whatever, summing up a point concisely in one tweet.
One that was Food Network, but it was Food Network, work, WERK.
Right. Where
one of theirs is liven up any house party by throwing a brown paper bag full of recluse spiders at a ceiling fan. Or another one of for a change, why not open a bag of Oreos and eat them off the floor like the fat piece of shit that you are? And that just lives in my head rent free.
Oh, dear. But who else have we got to shout out, Karl?
Well, we have a returning supporter in Fallopian Starship, remastered. And I like the idea of they've gone away. They've improved themselves, now they're the remastered version. That's how I imagine I'm going to, show off my new and improved body when I'm finally happy with myself in the gym.
I know gold's a bit gauche, but I wanted to ensure you grasp my new position atop the pecking order.
It's like my body is no longer in 720p. It's been rendered out in Unreal 5. Every time I think it's too late, I see another picture of an actor who got abs when they were 50, and I'm like, oh, thank God, I've got loads of time.
Yeah.
It doesn't encourage me to work out more. It just encourages me to be lazier until I get to 40. It's like, Brad Pitt got abs at 45. Oh, I've got 10 fucking years left yet.
Oh, but we have to shout out as well, Rama Soatame. So, of course, this is an anime reference that both Karl and I were kind of unaware of. But Karl...
I watched the intro and it looks fun.
Yeah, no, the intro looks fun. I did also watch the intro, but yeah, you got a cool anime moment to shout out this month.
Cool, we talked about Jiren in an episode that's either upcoming or you've already seen. Maybe it was the episode that you've just watched.
It could have been.
So I'm definitely going to put in a clip of Jiren just being Jiren. He's so triangular.
He's so
Will not stand in my way! Strength is justice.
He's so fucking triangular, again, gym goals. I can't wait when I've worked out enough for people man, that dude looks like a fucking Dorito.
I can't wait to work out enough that a Goku would see me across the room and be like, that one.
That one. You look pretty tough.
I love the fact that, Goku just keeps getting, sidetracked by other people trying to fight him along the way.
My favourite, take on Goku is when people do, artwork of Goku and Vegeta hanging out. It's obviously one of them going to a bar, and it's, 18 plus only, and Goku's like, oh, we're not allowed in here, because there's not 18 of us, and Vegeta's like, stop being stupid, we'll just call more dudes.
My secret goal is to look like the gelatinous cube in God of War Alpha.
Oh, man. The thing is, that's peak male form.
That's peak human form. Right there.
I still think the funniest fucking screenshot is Jack White wearing the PVC cube. Because obviously, it's an elegant solution to okay, this is the proportions your character will have, but know he wasn't expecting that when he's like, do you want to be in the next God of War?
Yeah, do you want to be in God of War? Great, we'll stick a cube around you. And obviously it's just, I'd say, for spacing reasons for mocap, but it's so funny to see him stood there in the queue.
Like, every picture of an actor who appears in a video game, it's like, oh, these video games, they're prestige projects now, and you see them in the fucking tight-fitting, like, ping-pong balls, so like, this was a mistake.
Oh, they was indeed.
But you know what wasn't a mistake? That was the choice of little ghost, 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 all emojis, little ghost, in words, little ghost, 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 emojis. Their choice to support this this content. Yeah, I'm calling it content. I think it technically counts as content.
The thing is, our shoutouts have got to the point where, like, they are longer than some YouTube videos.
Oh, they are. Like, we could, if we really, really wanted to, we could upload this shoutout separately, because it is in excess of 8 minutes long. We could run a mid-roll ad in it.
We could do. But I always make sure that ads never show in these shoutouts, so if they do, I've made a mistake. But
yeah, this is just a chance for myself and Lucas to offer earnest, genuine thanks to the people who support us at the highest tier on Patreon. It's very much appreciated. And if you are a fan and you want to support us on Patreon, you can do. But if you've watched this far in the video, you've given us more than enough support, because it's not often people watch this far into a video. And it's very much appreciated that you are. It means you either like us or you're asleep. Or the laptop is like over there and you can't be arsed. Either way, that's the kind of fan base I want to cultivate.
Oh, before we go, what's your favourite ghost?
Oh, it's the Ghost King. Enjoy Return of the King.
Oh, right, yeah. The one who gives up halfway through the battle, like, yeah, we've paid our debt.
Yeah, I'll never forget when a friend of mine was playing, like, Battle for Middle-earth 2, and he leveled up his character so much, that's like an RTS, that he somehow ended up with 2 armies of the dead. Because you have it as, like, a power that you can call in, but then the story mode gives you the army of the dead. And he's like, Sauron didn't have a chance. There was 2 armies of the dead. And he specifically made them crisscross across the battlefield, and it was a massacre. As we said, I think Bee of Awesome's got some competition. Because Bee of Awesome, like, you know, they're setting up their soliloquy, their villain monologue. Mm-hmm. Little Ghost is just slowly but surely amassing that army of the dead.
And if they're using one emoji at a time, they can build it up.
True. But, you know, we appreciate everyone's support. Cheers.